And we'll do Father Evil tonight.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's to get ourselves a treat.
Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. Thank Cthulhu it's Sunday. We've got Radatosker here who is staying sober because I am bowing down to the Maven of Merlot below us and drinking the wonderful Apothic Inferno that she suggested to me to drink. And when she tells you to drink something, you drink it because it is good. So now you know. They are not our sponsors, but maybe someday.
Right,
I hope y'all are doing. We'll be like. So tonight, we haven't been doing the All Light Picture Show very often. It's our new thing. So this is kind of like the Clutch, but we're going in to talk to storytellers who tell their stories via film. And with us tonight, we have Patrick and Ashes, the co-owners and creators of Magenta Manor Productions. And we're so excited to have you guys on. Like, you've been doing some really fun stuff lately, and you've been totally swamped by festivals. I tried before the show, I was like copying down as many festivals as I could that you've either been on or been going into. So how are you guys doing? And I do have one other request because I can't do the entire thing. I just have the Maven of Merlot. Patrick, could you do the full Ashes intro?
Oh, yes. So yeah, it's kind of like if you've seen Game of Thrones, it's kind of like that the scene where Jon meets Daenerys and like they have all these names and it's like, this is Jon Snow. Like, that's how I am. But she is the Baroness of Bordeaux, the Countess of Cabernet, the Mistress of Merlot, the Queen Regent of Rosé, the Real Housewife of Transylvania, the Michael Phelps of wine, the Queen of the Monsters, an honorary Lizzie, and an award-winning filmmaker. She is Ashes Von Nightmare.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
I got it wrong. I thought it was Maven.
Oh no,
Maven has the best characters.
I love Maven. I could be like the Maven of Malbec.
Ooh, Maven of Malbec.
Oh, that sounds good. I like the alliteration there too.
Yeah, so you're on to something there, Delphine.
I'm writing that down.
We'll add that on.
Malbec.
And it's just ever growing.
Yeah,
I don't even remember them all anymore. I know, right?
I know. If we go a couple of weeks between doing the podcast because we're busy with stuff, it's like, I don't remember all your names. And like there was at some point a specific order in which we would do them. And now it's just
there's just so many.
You just say the ones you remember offhand.
Yeah, you start off with Baroness of Bordeaux because that's alphabetically first, and you end with award-winning filmmaker. Like as long as everything else in between is.
And I'm running out of fingers to count them. I'm gonna have to use my toes now.
Well, you were in sandals.
Yeah, it was help.
That works. I also forgot to mention in our beginning here that we have added a new sponsor onto our show, Wicked FX, and they're out of Ohio. Great company. They're doing a lot of our printing and stuff like that, and they do the 3D printing so they can do all the mask making and stuff. If you guys
and they do a lot of stuff for haunts as well, for haunted attractions and horror films as well.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool.
I just shot all the
Yes.
footage for their sponsor ad and their mid-break ad yesterday. So we should actually have their ads up in place here in the next week,
Oh,
officially.
that's not pretty.
Yeah.
You
There's
said they're
some pretty
located
cool
out of
films.
Ohio?
Yep.
Okay.
Right outside of Hamilton, which is close to Cincinnati.
Yeah, we have 3 members of the show that are five members, I think, of the Owl Light Network that are in Ohio. So
Yeah.
a
There's a
good
lot of
little
us.
chunk of concentration there.
Actually, 6.
You guys,
Yeah, I think it's 6.
okay, yeah. Well,
Right,
there's
because
3
4 of them live in my household,
4 in your house,
including me.
yeah.
And then Ron and Pyle. So yeah, there's 6 of them.
We have a lot of people. But okay, so you guys have been really busy lately, and I have not gotten to see any of your films full length yet. I've just been getting the trailers because you still have most of them off in festivals, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
think.
we have one that is kind of winding down slowly from the festival circuit, Killing with Kindness.
Yep.
That's his first film.
That's coming up on a year that it's been out.
Yeah. So that's winding down. So that one will be available for public consumption once it's done its festival run. But we have my first film, Sweet Dreams, which is right in the thick of it as far as festivals go, and that'll be
got another
I just got another acceptance email before we went live, which is really exciting. And Cooking for Friends, which has just started its festival run. So
yeah, and that was those last 2. That was a whirlwind because we filmed yours on February 3rd, and it was just the 2 of us. We did everything. And then we were in the midst of planning the Dead of Winter Horror Festival, which happened on February 25th, and we actually hosted it in character from our upcoming, or our proof of concept trailer that we filmed with James Lamond of It Came from the 508. And the day before we filmed Cooking for Friends. So we were in pre-production, post-production, working full-time, and planning a horror festival. So I don't recommend it. But it was a lot of work.
But it was a lot of fun too.
We both try to be as independent as possible when it comes to our filmmaking, and she was very adamant. She's like, when I do my first movie, I want to edit it. And we filmed it on the 3rd, and we had to have it edited and done by the 20th. And I was like, there's no shot I can teach you how to edit and have you edit it and check all your work afterwards. I'll just do it. And that we got divorced 6 times during that period. But we made the movie, and it's funny because you got your first festival acceptance the night we finished filming. Someone invited you into their festival.
Yeah.
So that was wild because they're like, I can't wait to see what you do. I can't wait to see what you do. And then like we hadn't even finished cleaning up the blood off the walls when she was like, oh, I got accepted into this festival.
I'm gonna say
That's
I love the
something you
whole
can't
we
say
got
often.
divorced. I love the whole we got divorced 6 times during because my ex-wife directed one of the films that I wrote and acted in.
Yeah,
once, and then we actually divorced probably within a year after.
It was during the editing process. Well, I think a lot of it had to do with like there's stuff that I learned how to do, and I was like, hey, we should try this. And she was like, I didn't know that was an option. I'm like, I really didn't know this was an option because I learned. Again, we did all this on the fly. We filmed Killing with Kindness on July 15th, and I had to have it done and submitted to a festival by August 6th. And I had never edited. I had never done any of this stuff. I had no clue how to do any of it. So I had to learn and do it and get it submitted in just a couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
But,
that's a tall order, man.
It was a lot of fun though, and luckily I have my cinematographer on that, Michael Neal, also does color grading professionally, So he was able to help me with that. And when I brought it to him, he's like, all right, I'll bring it to you. I'll, come over to my house. We'll edit, we'll color grade, we'll tighten it up. And I had it at about 7.5 minutes. He cut over 2 minutes out of it, but somehow added so much more because I had no idea what I was doing. And he's already won multiple awards for his films. So I was like, whoa, this is so much better than what I had done.
Amazing, man. It's just to show you that process, though, man. Like the editing process, it's tough to learn, but like once you get in there, and it helps to see other people do it, like immensely. Like I probably learned most of my editing from sitting down and watching people doing it. I still suck at color grading to a degree. That's
YouTube University for me.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
It's crazy too how the editing process really just changes the film.
Yeah.
You may have the certain vision, but once you start editing it, you're just like, oh, and it just kind of becomes a completely different creature.
Cooking for Friends was exactly that. Like
Yeah.
I edited it, I put the whole thing together, and I was like, this is longer than I thought it was going to be. It doesn't flow the way I thought it was gonna. Like there's something just doesn't feel right. And then I added the opening and closing segments to make it seem like a true crime thing. And I was like, that was it. Like that.
Oh yeah. Did you guys have you ever seen the special edition of Running Man? The movie Running Man. They did the special anniversary edition that's still for sale, and they have in their vignettes afterwards. There's one that talks about editing, and they go and interview famous people from like Survivor and different reality shows, and they talk to them about how different reality shows are today from Running Man and what the difference really is. And one of the things they all talk about in every interview is the editing. Because the editors go in there to spice the show up, and that you suddenly now at home think this person has a beef with like 3 other people on the island or whatever environment it is, and really they were prompted by an interviewer to say those things, or they would be asked the question, and only part of the response would be edited in, which is basically what they do to the main character of Running Man. Like that's half the premise for the story and the book. And I always thought that was a really interesting way to look at editing because, like you said, editing changes an entire project, but it's weird the things you can do with it and make people believe. It's nuts, man. There's some psychology behind that, I think.
Well, a friend of ours said, half of directing is in the editing booth.
Yep.
Very true.
And with that being your first, you've had 2 nominations for Best Local Horror Short and Best Comedy Short for Killing with Kindness, and you did win the Audience Choice Award at the Happenstance Horror Fest.
Yes,
so
we got that.
That's really awesome for your first show.
Right here, I was very excited. I didn't know I won; it just showed up. A package showed up in the mail.
Ominous package.
And I was like, "What the hell is this?" And we've been nominated several times. So the first, thank you, Pile Hazard. So the first, we actually saw this. We were on vacation. It was our 10th anniversary last year, our 10th wedding anniversary, and I got the email saying that I had been nominated for 2 different. I think Best Horror Short and Best Local Short or something. And then back in April, I got nominated for those 2. It actually finished the same weekend of Mass Independent Film Festival. It finished as a runner-up in 2 different categories. So funniest and best villain. Ashes got how many? You got like 5 different runner-ups and one award.
Yeah, either 4 or 5 runner-ups and one for best scene at the Severed Limbs Festival.
And Cooking for Friends won most lovable or memorable character, which I get it. She was really good. It was the actress in that. Her name's Louisa, and she normally works. She works in props, but we're part of a film group that she's a part of. And I was like, I think you'd be perfect for this role, and everything learned about origin making. Hey, Stefan.
The beginning of one of our shows this time, Stefan.
But we've gotten nominated for a few things, and we actually all three of our films played at Phantasmagoria in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And I did get another acceptance, but I can't announce it because the festival isn't announcing it yet, not for another couple of weeks. But I'm looking forward to that. But it's going to be a new region where people are going to get to see this short. So I'm kind of excited about that. So we've played in New Jersey. We've played in Massachusetts. We've played. This will be another. I don't want to say where it is. I think that's it. Like, do we didn't get anywhere else? We've played around here a lot.
What I've been looking through, I saw Dead of Winter, Without Your Head presents Severed Limbs 14. Strange Maynard Independent Film Festival, the Shauna Shea Film Festival, Phantasmagoria, Mass Indie Film Festival, Happenstance Horror Fest, Monster Expo, Halfway to Halloween.
Most of those
I've
are
been going
like
through
an hour.
We need you out in Horror Hound, man.
They need to update your IMDb page a little bit.
I applied. I submitted to Horror Hound for next year. I won't know till February, so it's like a year out. But it's true with a lot of these. Like, a lot of them I submitted in September, October, November, and I'm still waiting to hear whether or not I got into the festival.
Yeah, and some of these, you submit and you find out maybe a month or so before the festival actually takes place whether or not your film has been accepted. So, for me, like, I have my film submitted to, I want to say, about 10 other festivals that I'm waiting to hear back from right now. So, people are like, where can I see it next? And it's like, I'll tell you when I know.
We are officially a recognized press outlet now at our network for Horror Hound. I just uploaded all of our edited videos to our YouTube for it. So if you guys get in for next year, I'll be there anyway.
Well,
I should get in because you're amazing.
Well, watch the movies first, and
and
then I'm sure we can send you the links to check them out in the group chat.
I'd love to watch them, man. Hell yeah.
They're not very long, but I think the sound design really helps. The sound and the music that we choose. Like, if you guys have seen my latest trailer, I think the music that I chose really helps. Because it's a weird juxtaposition of, like, oh, here's some classy Chopin, and switching it with the subject matter. I think that lends to the absurdity. So this will be like my first straight comedy, where the other two are comedy horror. What movie P and A? So there's three. There's Killing with Kindness, which is my first short, Sweet Dreams, which is your first short, and then Cooking for Friends, which is my most recent short, and then I just dropped the trailer to my upcoming Dick Pic, which is just straight comedy, which is going to be, oh man, that's going to be so much fun. Let's
go ahead and show these guys some of what we got going on here.
Yeah,
you guys
please.
Don't mind. Do you want to set any of these up, or can I? I mean, it's
which one
short.
do you want to do first?
Killing with Kindness first, I think.
So this, when I made this trailer, I was inspired by Marvel trailers, where I wanted to show a little bit of what was going on, but none of these shots really show up in the final movie. Kind of like when you saw the Avengers trailer and they had the Hulk and everybody was just in a line and just charging at the enemy, and that was never in the movie. I kind of wanted to throw a little bit of both. So, so this is the first trailer I ever made. This is the first time I edited anything. You'll notice it's not color graded because I didn't know how to do that. So this is just what it looked like when we shot it, and it's about a minute long.
All right.
Hell yeah.
So there's no night vision that ever occurs. But
Steph and these guys have their own company.
yeah,
They're Magenta
our own
Manor
production
Productions.
company. Yeah, that one. Alyssa normally does hair and makeup, and no one had ever put her in front of a camera before. Mark, I chose the two of them because of the size difference between the two of them. Mark had never been on a set before, and he absolutely killed it. He was so good. And even one of the scenes where he thought he messed up turned out to be like one of the biggest scenes where it gets a good reaction from people every time, especially with the sound effects that I threw in for it. I'll just say it has to do with cake, and because you'll notice also that it just says KWK because I didn't even want to tell people what the title was because it's almost a spoiler. And the first time we saw the reaction to it, I think it worked out. It worked out well.
So one of the things that we do here on the network is when we find something that we like, we have something that it is judging you. This is me judging you. We have Killer Sofa is judging you, and on and on. But for this one, we chose The Balloon is judging you because it was the only character. So just
listen. She says on and on, but there's only one she left out, and I have to put it up here because it's my favorite right now, and that is Monster is judging you. We just had the guys from Monster on the last time I did.
We have a very special relationship with them. It's kind of odd.
Yeah,
and gonna go in real quick here. Stefan, you are friends because Patrick, aka PJ Rahal, is one of the authors from Warlord from the Mythos. So that is how you know him.
Yeah.
He's a man of many names. You can also call him Pappy.
God. I didn't realize that either.
That's because
we're in a book. But to be fair, like I wasn't in the first one. I was just in volume 2, but then he had openings for 1, so I just gave him a story. So now I'm retroactively added to 1.
Yeah, for that fancy new version, which looked amazing.
We're gonna make him come on for a whole episode to talk about. Like, we're all gonna get together and just talk about that whole fucking thing for a whole episode of something when it's ready, man. Like, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I also wrote this book. How much do you tip an exorcist? I'm hoping to turn some of the stories into short films, but we'll see what happens.
See, I'm bowing down to ashes with the wine. I am challenging you with a Steve Van Sampson shirt as to who is a funniest fan.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I have all the books up in the.
Yeah, all the collectors. I have 2 of the super deluxe editions.
I'm
waiting.
I'm roughing into the month of February. I'm just saying. It's official. It's all in line now.
I got killed by a werewolf in one of the issues of Gore Shriek about 10 years ago.
Hell yeah.
Just saying.
That is fucking epic. I love that. I love Gore Shriek so much. I always tell him and Derek about this. Every haunt that I work at, I recreate something from Gore Shriek. And in the haunt I'm at now, I actually recreated one of the original covers. It was the girl that had the baby doll. That was an actual baby with its intestines hanging out. I created a puppet of a baby doll with actual real intestines that one of the doll characters in our doll room scene actually has and puppets at people.
I like it.
Gore Shriek is... I love me some Gore Shriek, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got killed by a werewolf many years ago. I have that issue signed somewhere.
Okay, you're more special than I am. I just...
Well, I live a lot closer to Steve. It's a lot easier. And Derek, it's a lot easier for me to get stuff.
The Rattlesnake Super Edition finally is mailing, by the way. I just got my notifications. Yeah, so I'm going to get that sexy book coming out pretty soon.
I actually gave Mark of the Witchworm. I gave a copy of that to a producer that I know. So,
ooh, good.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Since we're kind of squirreling off just a little bit on this, so when I heard him read it on the audio version, I pictured David Bautista, not being like goofy like he is, but I can like the size and the kind of mindset. That's who I picture.
Okay.
When
I
it
could
comes
see his
to
character
Witchworm.
I can see that. Yeah.
from either Blade Runner, his character in Blade Runner 2049, or his character from Hotel Artemis.
Mm.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Yes. You have half the East Coast author group that we have befriended, and then like Raz and I, and then a couple other people from other states. But 90% of the more lore from the Mythos crew, I think, is I call you guys all the Providence crew, even though you aren't all in Providence, but you're
About 40 minutes.
or the East Coast crew. You guys all have these ties to each other, which is I'm so jealous of, but I'm glad, thanks to the internet, that I get to be a part of, like the different conversations and hanging out
And
stuff.
Rob.
If you've seen Lovecraft Country or you're familiar with that show, we live right down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally,
Oh,
like they are in Uxbridge. We're a town over in Grafton. Our first movie we did together was Celophaeus, which is an adaptation of one of the Dreamscape stories.
Nice.
I
was still
I
hurt
do
when
see
that show
that.
got canceled.
Stefan loves the show too.
It's a great show.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go on and show the rest of the trailers that we have, and I do have a quick question before showing Sweet Dreams. Is Princess Zombie Cake? Did she part of the family too, or is she somebody else's?
Oh no, she's ours.
Oh no, she is my baby. She is my child.
She may show up in a little while.
Yeah. She likes to make the rounds a little bit. She likes to be the center of attention. She gets that from my side. She's our cat.
Well, introduce your trailer.
So yeah, this is a teaser trailer for my first film, Sweet Dreams.
Okay.
So I didn't want to give too much away because the concept of the film is very simple, and I think you kind of get the gist of it. But any more than that, and it would have been too much. It would have, so you don't see any of the gore, which, trust me, there's a lot of in a very specific scene. And yeah, I'm just that's also it's a rough cut. It's not color graded or anything like that. The final product is.
That trailer.
Was one of the, I mean,
I did it the day, like less than 12 hours after we finished filming. I did the trailer and the poster.
Yeah.
Just to get it out of the way.
Yeah, just kind of like, here's some shots, when you're going through the editing process and you're trying to just kind of unpack everything that you've done, organize what you've filmed and whatnot. It was just like, hey, let's just throw together a quick trailer just to kind of
30 seconds
little teaser.
Let's find some
a little amuse-bouche, if you will.
I'm a notorious hater of trailers. I do not watch trailers for movies, nothing. But the way all the trailers I've seen so far are a good example of what I like about trailers. You give me a taste of something and you get me interested, and you don't show me everything. and I stopped watching trailers because
exactly. I was just gonna say they're short films. You can't do a whole like 2-minute trailer.
I've seen them.
That's 5 to 6 minutes long. It doesn't make
could.
No, I mean you could, but it doesn't make any sense because then you give it all away.
I once saw a 2.5-minute trailer for an 8-minute movie. I'm not kidding you.
That doesn't make any sense.
And it made me cry. And then I watched it and I'm like, you guys literally put all the most important parts of this whole thing in I could have just watched the trailer and still got the gist of the entire movie.
It's bad enough that they're doing that with feature films now, giving you everything in the trailer. It's like, why did I go?
Here's the reveal of the secret villain that we're going to lead up to the whole
why
film.
Did I waste, 2 hours of my time watching this when you didn't show me anything really different than what was in the trailer?
Whoa, Pedro Pascal is playing a secret bad guy? I haven't seen that 30 times.
Right. I'll watch Marvel trailer, Marvel comics. Cool. That's not going to ruin anything for me. But if it's a film I really think I want to see, I just go and watch it. I don't watch the trailer. I just go and watch it because I'm so terrified. I've been burnt way too many times by trailers giving away important stuff, and it makes me mad every time. Yeah, but I love how you guys are doing your trailers, though. I'm very, very interested in all of them. The sound that you do, that repetitive sound, that immediately caught me on that trailer. You don't see that often in trailers, and I actually love that you guys did that. The way you set that sound up with what we were seeing, knowing that you didn't want to give away too much, you pay attention to that immediately. That sound, you're like, wait, where's that coming from? And then you're just watching this whole thing in front of you, man. It's nice. I like that.
Thank you.
I went out of my way recently to not watch a trailer because I just watched Abigail the other night, and everybody was like, if you watch the trailer, there is no point in watching the film. And so I was like, okay. So I avoided watching, and it was a good film. It wasn't the best thing I've ever seen, but I didn't feel like I'd wasted my time. I was happy that I watched the movie, It had cool houses in it, so I like that. That's one of my I watch a lot of haunted house films, not because they do the haunting well, but because I'm like, I could live there. I can pretend that I'm living there while I watch this movie,
Yeah, I get it. I'll look at stuff, it's like, oh man, that room is amazing.
I will sometimes watch things surely for the ambiance. I have no interest in what's going on. I just want to look at the scenery.
I mean, it's like that and we watched Imaginary last night, and
I've been wanting to watch it, but now I'm less convinced that I want to see it after seeing your reactions.
It definitely had one of those things. It's like Coraline and Insidious, and what the hell else did we say?
Like a little Alice in Wonderland.
A lot of Alice in Wonderland. Yeah. It's like, oh, the little girl's name is Alice. Oh, wow, that's. But there's a lot of. One of the things that drives me insane about certain movies, and they do this all the time, where it's like, oh, we just escaped from a fire, or something happened, and oh, look, the police are right there. It's like, what, are you just driving around looking for fires or crimes? How do you, that's the best response to, do you teleport? Who even called you that there was a fire? How, oh God. No.
Okay,
no.
I might rethink this because I just got burnt really bad not long ago by Skinamarink, and that still hurts really bad. So I'm not sure if I want to rush out and watch Imaginary. I think I'm going to wait on that for a little bit.
Wait on it.
It's one of those, the concept, I mean, it's not an original concept, but the idea was definitely there. The execution was poor. And the acting was terrible.
I've seen 6 movies. How can we combine them all into one, but not good?
Yeah.
So do you want to do these other trailers? All right, so I'll set up this next one. I like to put a lot of Easter eggs, and I use a lot of Killing with Kindness has 0 dialogue, so that was a little harder to do because I use a lot of wordplay, and part of the reason why I chose Louisa to be my main actor is because English is not her first language, and I wanted her to pronounce certain things a certain way to kind of throw you off the scent, where I like subverting expectations, where you're like, okay, maybe this is not that. No, maybe that's exactly what I thought it was. But I want to cast doubt as you're watching. but there were certain little nuances, and I even put one in the trailer. So if you are as big a fan of, say, Silence of the Lambs as I am, you will pick up on it.
And I think I noticed a person in the trailer, but we'll talk about that later. I think the first person in the, anyway, we'll just show the trailer. I'm not going to talk about it. Okay. Because this is good.
Nice.
That smile, by the way, is creepy as fuck.
She knew exactly what I was going for,
nailed it.
and she did it perfectly. I will say I'm kind of proud of that last shot, that chopping shot.
Yeah. That's what I was grinning about when I came back.
We were I'm very safety conscious when it comes to people on set. So we actually filmed that backwards. So she had the knife down and then just went up like this. And I was like, I want you to do it like weird like that, because I want this to be an unsettling, like unnatural motion when you chop down. I don't want it to look quite right. So we did it backwards, because I originally wanted to do that with Killing with Kindness when we filmed Mark walking. I wanted to film him walking backwards and play it reverse, but we didn't have enough time. We shot that in 3.5 hours. So we just didn't have enough time. We were losing light.
Yeah.
So you said you wanted to, you had something, an observation you wanted to make.
Oh, the first picture on the camera phone.
Yeah.
Was that who I think it is? Steve's mom?
No, it is not.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It looked like
No.
It's
it's hard to tell, but there is
stuff.
some resemblance, yes. But it is not. There were a couple of people who did some favors for me, or a couple of people donated some money, so I had them. They're either on posters or they're on. When you see the full short, there's a bunch of missing posters, and there are people. Steve's in there.
I did, yeah.
Fun name.
That's so
I
awesome.
did have that. Oh, where did I put it? I had it. I guess I didn't upload that one, but yeah, I saw that and I was like, and there's the Portland crew, Providence crew.
Yes.
Let me drink some more wine, and I will get there. I will catch up with it.
So if you have the last one, we can do that one too.
Yeah, I do. If you would like to give a
So I was getting ready for work a few weeks ago. Actually, it was probably closer to a month and a half at this point. And I had this idea, and I have notebooks all over the place. So I just scribbled down dick pic, and then underneath that, micro short. And then underneath that, I wrote ha, because I'm 12.
Love it.
But I was like, oh, I have this great idea. And it's basically all people reacting to receiving an unsolicited dick pic, as so many people have. And then there's a twist at the end. So I don't want to, obviously I haven't put the film together, but what I did was I reached out to a bunch of people who, again, have either like been very supportive or, you know, are, you know, looking to get into, you know, film a little bit. And it's like, that's part of what Magenta Manor and Dead of Winter is all about. Like, you know, because people gave us a shot, it's us paying it forward. Like, let's help you out. So I have a few videos from other people, but I was waiting, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to give these people a little kick in the ass to remind them that I need these videos from them. So I'm going to put out this trailer because Jason, who's in it, from Bad CGI Sharks, which is, we've had them on the show a couple of times and they're amazing. He was the first one to send me a video, and I was like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I can make this look really good in a trailer. So this is my trailer for Dick Pic and my.
What the fuck? Yeah.
Coming sooner than you want. I love it.
Yeah,
This is.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. This is gonna sound weird, but and they're gonna laugh at me, but I really like the font that you used in the last two.
Yeah, I'd have to look like Monotype Corsiva. It's in
Yes,
DaVinci Resolve. It's in DaVinci Resolve. I own the free version of DaVinci Resolve, and that's what I use for editing. Yeah, I like to make it look classy. The music for Cooking for Friends is very similar, but that was the Goldberg variations. It's the same music that plays in Hannibal Lecter's cell after he kills the two cops.
Yep.
This is Chopin. I have it written down somewhere. But I hear it all the time when I play Fallout 4. It's on like the classical radio station. And
I was going to say something about that. Yeah.
Like, this is perfect. Again, like, I don't have to pay for it. But like some of the other music that I use, like in like the very beginning of all of our shorts where you see the Magenta Manor logo, that opening tone is from a Teal song. It's Teal, T-E-E-E-L, who's a friend of ours, Jim Smith. And that's off of one of his albums. It's a song about Back to the Future called 88 Miles Per Hour. The song that plays at the end of Killing with Kindness is another one of his songs. And the trailer for Killing with Kindness is yet another of his songs. He does a lot of synth-based work, and he does a lot of soundtrack stuff. And I was like, hey, can I borrow some? So he's like, yeah, absolutely. So he's credited in Killing with Kindness. It's like music by Jim Smith of Teal and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, because that's the other music that we have in there. Because you have to be careful when you put music in. Like, the song might be like a royalty-free song, like, you know, Ave Maria or something, but it depends on the performance. The performance may not be, might be copywritten, and you can't use that. Like, I can't use Andrea Bocelli's version of this. I have to use like generic, you know, YouTube sound. But
yeah.
And AI these days will just nail you on stuff like that, because they don't. We do a lot of parodies over on Splash Pages, and we have to make sure that we're goofing them up, or, you know, we get goofy with them. But we have one coming up that he's going to record, and I want to make sure that we don't get nailed for it, because we're going to be using the same background music as the original artist, and
slightly
like,
altered.
Okay, parodies are legal to do, but yeah, you know, you
like
have to.
The new Hunt for Gollum movie that's coming out, or game or whatever. As soon as they announced that they were doing that, they had like a copyright strike or a cease and desist or some kind of lawsuit against a fan film by the same name that came out like a decade ago.
Yep.
Like
it was
when
some bullshit.
What's his name? Is it Robin Leach? Not Robin Leach.
The worst part about it is the game is bombing. And I was excited for the game, but apparently it is. The critic scores are terrible, and I like that movie a lot more than this game sounds now.
Yeah. Well, but
ASCAP is a bitch.
The guy that he was going to get sued by Marvin Gaye.
Robin Thicke,
not Robin Lee. I knew it was like some TV guy. Robin Thicke preemptively sued Marvin Gaye's estate to keep him from suing him from using his music in that friggin' song. It's like
Alan Thicke's son.
You're wrong. I'm gonna sue you so you can't take me to court over using your music.
Oh yeah. And like I've had to deal with ASCAP a couple times on film productions, and like sometimes they're really easy to work with. Like, oh, you just want to use it one time in just your movie? Okay, that'll be like $50-$60. Oh, is this going to go on the festival circuit? Because if you're going to put it on this festival circuit, now it's $280. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, or you can contact the rights holder if you can track them down and get written permission, but you'll still have to give us a fee. And I'm like,
that's so dumb.
I learned to stop playing those games a long time ago.
So, Friday had a question about, well, I'll let her ask it for you guys, though.
You guys had talked about you would get divorced 6 times while you were making the film. What is advice you would give to upcoming filmmaker couples that are starting a film company or whatever about communication and doing it as partners and being married?
Definitely communication is key, first of all. You know, if you have a partnership where you don't feel like you have the ability to communicate well with your partner, then maybe going into filmmaking or any other type of creative endeavor is the right venture for you. Maybe think of something else, or maybe work on that before you go on this venture together. Communication is so important. Being able to, and allowing your partner space and grace to express themselves how they feel necessary. I know when it comes to, like, for me pitching an idea, I have a difficult time verbalizing fully what's in my head. It's like in my head there's this whole grand thing, and I can picture things from start to finish, but sometimes I have a difficult time verbalizing that. When he allows me the space to kind of just allows me the space to do that, and allows me to stumble a little bit, and allows me to isn't expecting perfection right out of the gate, allows me the space to really just kind of gather my thoughts and say, okay, this, or he'll try to help too, and he'll be like, okay, are you thinking this, or are you thinking this, and kind of lead me to coming to my own decisions on things. So I think that's really it, just having somebody who you can communicate well with, and, having a respect towards each other is huge as well. Respecting each other's work, respecting the process, because his process is completely different than mine. He directs differently than I do. He writes differently than I do. I have no issue telling him what I think should happen, but at the same time, it's his project, and vice versa. There are times when he's like, hey, I'm thinking this, and I'm just like, nope, it's this. Like, this is my vision. This is what I have in mind. This is what we're doing. Whereas other times it's like, yeah, you know what? I like that idea better. Let's try this, So it's not taking things personally, and kind of being able to, almost like
there's
knowing the difference between, like this has nothing to do with our relationship right now. This is our professional relationship. This isn't our personal relationship. That's where, And this is a business that we started, so
But usually, like, if we have an argument like that, we go and complain to each other about, like,
can you believe what my business partner just
get a
told
load
me?
of this
Like...
jerk. Like, but I will say, like, there's also, as long as you know what you don't know, like when we were editing, a lot of the editing was like, why don't you go in that room over there and you find some music that you like? I'll put the video together. You go away and I'll be here, and like we'll be away from each other, and we won't be doing it, because there's also, like, when I'm editing stuff together, like, again, you're not familiar with the editing software, so you don't know what it can or can't do. And there are certain things where it's like, well, I'm going to try this. I don't know if I can do this, but let me try it. And a lot of times I would, because I would edit each block individually, and it's like, okay, this is what you said you wanted. I don't really think that's good, but I'm gonna edit it that way. But while I'm at it, I'm also gonna edit the way I think it might look better. And then, like, we kind of take from both, and it's like, oh, I didn't realize that this is something that we could do, and I like this, but can you do it this way? So it's like, yes, it's the two ideas, and then we kind of merge them. Like, there is one shot that I'm particularly proud of where it's like, it's almost like a flashback scene where it's like a PTSD in yours, but it involves stuffed animals. And I was like, I have no idea if I could do this, but like what you said you wanted. And I was like, okay, let me try that. And I was failing at it. And I was like, well, what if I did this and I edited this a specific way? And because I've seen it done on other things, it's like, maybe I can try it. Because I also know that, she may ask me to do something in the editing room that I'm not able to do because I don't know how to do it, or I don't have access to it because I have the free version and not the $400 version. So, I mean, it was a huge learning process. I mean, how frustrated did I get? I was trying to edit on my laptop, and I was just, I'm like, how do I do this? And I'm looking it up on YouTube. I'm like, how the hell does this, where is this on my screen? I don't see it. So I hooked up a second monitor. And when I did that, I was like, so this program adapts like a goldfish to the size of the display that you have. So as soon as I hooked it up to a bigger monitor, I can now see all this stuff. And it's like, I had no idea. And that was a week in. So it's like, awesome. I did buy a new fancy gaming monitor back in January. Yeah, it was back in January. Because I was like, she's like, I don't know if you really need that. And I was like, first of all, I do. Second of all, like, I'm going to be editing a lot of stuff coming up. So, like, I should have something better than a 24-inch Fire TV, because everything looks blurry. We hooked this up, and I was like,
the definition.
Yeah. It's a 32-inch Samsung curved gaming monitor. That's so much better than my 24-inch Fire TV from like 4 years ago. I think, yeah, this was a good idea.
And you're using a DaVinci Resolve?
Yes.
That's what you said earlier. Have you tried other editing programs, or is that just like the first one that you got into?
Well, when we originally shot, it was shot on a Blackmagic camera, and I
was going to ask you about that too. Cool.
Specifically made for DaVinci, and that was our friend Mike Neal's camera. Okay. So he, I was like, okay, this is the program he's using. I'll learn this. I've tried to use Adobe, because I did have an issue with Cooking for Friends. When we shot Sweet Dreams, we bought a Canon T7,
Rebel T7,
and that's what we shot that on.
Okay.
When we shooting Cooking for Friends, it was a different Canon. It was somebody else's camera, because in that Fun Size Films group, everybody gets a chance to do a different job. So it's like, oh, I normally work props, but now I'm acting. Or for me, it's like, I normally am a set PA, but now I'm directing. So everybody got a chance to do something different. But when I got the files, there was no video. There was, and I was like, I don't understand. And it's because there's something weird with like the codec or the frame rate, or I don't know. I'm not that savvy with it, but I was able to put it all into Adobe, save it correctly, and render it and all that, and put it back into DaVinci afterwards. So I was lucky I had that option, but I was trying to use Adobe Premiere, and it just, A, I didn't have time to learn a whole new editing suite, and B, it was just, I didn't like it as much as I like Resolve. Like, I know some people swear by it and they love it, but I prefer Resolve.
Adobe had its time in the sun, man. I've worked on Final Cut machines. I've worked on just Adobe straight up machines. And once Adobe went to the subscription model, the quality of their programming changed a lot. They made it more complex with less explanation. Even the videos, people just get frustrated, but then they're like, listen, this is what worked for me. There's a good chance it's not going to work for you, but maybe this video will help you. And I ended up switching over to Wondershare and Filmora about 6 years ago. And it's the first one I found where everything is where I need it. And there's options. Like if you don't know that much about editing, you can turn off all the advanced stuff until you want to go and learn the advanced stuff. And then you just click a little sidebar and then all the advanced stuff will pop up for you. So it helps you like kind of center it. But it's the only other program I found like Adobe, where Adobe is good for like recompressing files, relacing files, just when you have those weird file types that other ones won't respond to. Filmora will do that like Adobe does, but it does it, in my opinion, in an easier way for me to understand what's actually happening, because Adobe, like I said, Adobe just got really needlessly complicated, I think.
Yeah, because it freaked me out when I was like, I have audio but no video, and I have no idea what to do. And it's like, oh my God, I thought I was going to puke. But
I feel like people that want you to switch to Adobe are the same people that want you to switch to Linux.
Well, somebody was like, oh, well, you can send it to me and you can do this. And it's like, I'm going to try a few things. Like, I'm going to look up why this might happen. Because I prefer to, whenever I have issues like that, I prefer to figure them out on my own.
Yep.
But yeah, so each one of our films has been shot on a different thing. And for Dick Pig, everybody's using their own cameras, whether it's a phone. I think one person sent me some stuff where they set up a Canon. That's all they told me, Canon. Like, you want Canon or phone? I'm like, whatever works best for you.
Oh, yeah. I just had to upgrade my camera, and I was like, man, I've been using shitty, falling apart phones for like a decade. It's whatever free phone the phone company gives me. And I'm like, man, I need a new camera. A lot of people are shooting on their phones these days, and I was thinking about it, but I don't like Apple products at all. And then I remembered that Samsung was making all the Apple cameras for a long time, and that partnership just ended in a lawsuit. So now the newest S24 Ultra has not only the best camera on the entire cell phone market, it's better than most Blackmagic cameras, which would have cost me like $4,000 and $5,000, and this phone's only like $1,200.
Yeah, we're due for upgrades. Our phones are combined like 11 or 12 years old. So
yeah, like that's what I was working with some. It was such an off-brand name. No one I know had ever heard of it, and it barely worked for years. And I'm like, if I need a new phone and a new camera, then maybe I should just go for it. This thing films in 8K like it's butter.
That's amazing.
Ooh.
Yeah,
it works with most gimbals, like, and it's a phone. Like for me now, the challenge is going from the camcorder and the DSLRs, like this is how I would operate everything with the tripods, and now doing it with a phone, which I'm not good at phones. So like I'm now having to reteach myself how to film with phones. It's I like it, but it's weird.
I get it.
I wanted to go back to real quick, just with the relationship and you each doing your own parts on stuff. Okay, first of all, I love you guys' relationship. I've met you in person. You guys are fabulous. And you work so well together, and you both have very strong personalities, but you work. And that's crazy. I have decided I'm a huge control freak. I can never live with someone again, let alone it's just not going to happen because I have to have the power. But when I do things, I'm always wanting to make sure that I'm doing the very best at something. And like you're saying, you see it one way, you see it another way, and you're going to try to show both ways to make sure that it's the best that can possibly be there. I'm I think I seek approval a little bit much on some things. Like I do a lot for splash pages. I do a lot of the graphics and stuff that we do, but I'm always like double checking with Leo, like, is this the best it can be? You know, is it, can you give me any pointers? Do you want me to change anything? At the same time, any book that I'm in, I request the copies ahead of time so that I can go through and re-edit over anything that the editor might have missed.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want your name attached to something that isn't the best it can be.
Right.
Yes.
That can
Yes,
can be just, I don't mean to interrupt you, but like that can be an issue sometimes when you are working on somebody else's film. Like say, you know, we were on a film and it's like
sometimes you have to remind yourself that this is not your vision.
Yeah.
That it is their vision, and that you kind of need to check your ego and compromise.
Yeah.
Like that. So I have to remind, so I'm my sun is in Libra, my moon is Sagittarius, and my rising is Virgo. So a lot of time my Virgo definitely shows. Like I'm a perfectionist. I want everything to look a certain way. I want the aesthetics to be perfect. I want, you know, I just want everything to be just yeah, I want everything to be just right, you know, and that's not always the case. You know, I tend to be a control freak, which is one of the reasons why for my first film it was just him and I, because I just wanted to learn as much of the process as I can, you know, and that's what I've been doing for the past couple of years, getting on as many different independent sets as possible and doing different roles and helping out so I could learn as much of the process before, you know, going on my own adventure and directing my own film. But I wanted to do so much of it. I wanted to do everything. Like, and what one of the big things that I learned is that this is why there are film crews and you have multiple people on set, is because even if you're filming a small independent, you know, 5-minute film, it's still a big undertaking and there's still a lot of layers and a lot of things that need to be dealt with. You know, and yeah, so I'm the same way, and I've had to learn to kind of just let it go a little bit, you know. And
as a Virgo, I feel only mildly attacked. Just everything you're saying is totally true.
You know, and here's the thing, you know, when we were editing this, my film, I started to hate my film so much. I mean, like, so I not only wrote and directed it, but I starred in it too. So I got so sick and tired of seeing my own face. Like I would walk by the mirror and be like, oh, this bitch again, you know, because I just got so sick and tired of seeing myself. I was just so over it at that point. But I was very critical of it. Like very critical, and I wanted everything to be perfect, and it's like, well, that's not right. And it's like, well, we can't go back and change it because that's how it was filmed. So unless we refilm the whole fucking thing, which is not what's going to happen, you know what I mean? Like we do not have that kind of time. You know, it is what it is. And it wasn't until I had the opportunity to see the completed project with a live audience. And because a live audience doesn't know what you are going for exactly. They don't know all the imperfections. They're just looking to have a good time. And everybody laughed, and they were very audible to, you know, certain responses and stuff. And that made me love my film again. And that's kind of where I'm at now. Is I'm back to I'm content with it. Do I wish I could change it? Absolutely.
Well, there still may be a director's cut.
You know, but I'm going to take that and everything that I've learned, I'm bringing that into my next project.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things we learned was I should not run a camera. We were talking about this at a lot of film festivals and stuff where we would. People would be like, "Oh, how'd you manage to have you guys in frame, but the room is tilted?" And I was like, "Oh, well, you know, that was all intentional. When in reality, our tripod would not, the top of it where you screw the camera in would not sit flat, and it would tilt up just a little bit. But like if you watch it and you see in the background, like it tilts more and more and more." As the film goes on. So we're like, no, that's it's representative of her slow descent into madness.
Right, yeah. It was an artistic decision, yes.
I was telling people I will be known for my cinematography the way Sodom is known for its pottery.
Just tell people you really enjoyed MTV in the 90s because almost everything they did had that slight angle that would get progressively more and more.
You ever seen Jamiroquai? We were going for that.
Yeah.
Virtual insanity, man.
No, it wasn't virtual. You can't tell, but like our boom pole. So like you can kind of see some of like these like racks and stuff behind me. So there's one next to the bed, and our boom pole was masking taped to that just over us. And we didn't even end up using that audio. We only used the audio from the camera. I was able to clean it up a little bit. But yeah, no, that was an adventure. Like when it's like, all right, I want to watch playback. So we have to like frame it up, get everything all set, run over, turn on the camera, flop into bed, do the scene, get up, turn off the sound, turn off the camera. Oh my God. Never again. Never again.
I had friends in theater when I was going to school as a theater major that they were telling me about the year previous that I had missed when they were doing a live performance on stage, and they could not get the boom mic in the right position with the lights, and it just kept like moving, and they started singing Cat Stevens' rendition of "I'm being followed by a boom shadow." But okay, guys, we're going to do our commercials real quick, and then we are going to get into our questions from the audience. So give us just a second here. Check these out. These are some of our fine sponsors and coworkers.
Ooh, we are live.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Reductibus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Reductibus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
All right. So welcome back, everybody. And we're going to hit the audience questions real quick. I believe we have a suggestion here for you guys from Stefan. I think that someone should make a Hellraiser 50 Shades horror comedy crossover.
See, I have always said for many, many years, the only difference between like a slasher type horror from like, you know, a Jason or a Freddy or a Michael Myers and a romantic comedy is the attractiveness of the lead character. That's it. There's no difference between them. And 50 Shades of Grey is 100% proof of that. Like, the guy stalked the shit out of that woman. Just like showing up. It's like, yes, would you like to see my pleasure room now? Do you enjoy butt plugs? Like, that's some weird shit. It's okay. I'm a billionaire. I have a helicopter. Like,
why does he sound like Orson Welles?
I don't know. Everybody sounds like Orson Welles now. It used to everything used to devolve into John Travolta. Now apparently everyone is Orson Welles.
Are you in your Orson Welles era?
I think I am.
Yeah.
Like, look at my beard.
Sense,
What luck! French fry in my beard. Like, you know, it's all it is it's horror, but it's just with a sunnier filter on it. Like, there's no difference between romantic. It's like, think about the ending of what the hell's that Dustin Hoffman movie where he like breaks up the wedding and then they drive off together?
Oh, The Graduate.
The Graduate.
Oh yeah.
If you focus in on their faces, it's like this woman had an established relationship. Like, she had already had a life with this person, and they were planning on spending the rest of their lives together. They had gone through this whole like ceremony and wedding and everything, only to run off and jump on a bus with Dustin Hoffman. And if you look at them at the end, they're like, shit, we have made a huge mistake. What is next?
Mm-hmm.
What is next? That was a grand romantic gesture, and this is wacky and fun, but I should really head back to my wedding because I have no money and nowhere to go. Like, I don't know what to do. So,
and how do you come back from that? You just come back to him like, it was a joke. Haha, I got you. And then you, where does that go?
I totally got you. But yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, I think we could do it.
Get the chains. That's all you need, really. You know. I do enjoy the new Hellraiser. Huge fan of Doug Bradley's. You know, but in certain things, like when they reached the final couple installments where they did not have Doug Bradley, or where they could have had Doug Bradley, but they kind of fucked it up. I didn't necessarily even think that they needed to have Pinhead in there because I'm a huge Hellraiser reader and everything. And so it's like, there are other orders than the Order of the Gash. There could have been different Cenobites involved in the movies. But
focus on the chamber.
Well, the problem is they couldn't have sold it because your average person who loves Hellraiser doesn't even know that it's based on written works. I'm going to be honest. Like, a majority of Hellraiser fans only know the movies, which breaks my heart every time I hear that. But that's a sad truth.
Yeah,
it's definitely one of those where it's so recognizable. Like, to not have Pinhead would be like such a huge, like, it would be a Halloween 3 situation. I think people would be like, where's Michael? It's like, when Poochie's not on screen, everyone should be asking, where's Poochie? Like, that's how it would be with that. Although, you gotta, I have to give it up to horror, because without horror movies, think about the actors we would not have. Adam McKay, Hellraiser, Henry Cavill, also Hellraiser, Leo DiCaprio in Critters 3, Jennifer Aniston in Leprechaun,
Kevin Bacon, Friday the 13th.
Yep, which was almost Tom Hanks.
Yep. Johnny Depp, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, like there's a
George Clooney, Return of the Killer Tomatoes, and
right.
There was 2 movies he was filming back to back on that same lot. There was another horror film we did this literally in the same week. I can't remember what it was now. It's crazy the amount of people, man. We talk about that a lot.
I'm going to throw in Brad Dourif, who I do every time I can possibly say his name, because he is my secret boyfriend. Secret as in he doesn't know it yet, but he totally is. But he has been in hundreds of movies, but he's best known for being Chucky,
Mm-hmm.
and it really gave him, like, he's been in a lot of great stuff that was not horror, but horror is what allowed him to be in so much great stuff.
I mean, even as Grima Wormtongue, like, that's definitely a horror-ish or a horror adjacent role.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys not realize he was a bad guy? Half of his name is Worm and the other half is Tongue. Like, how did you not realize he was bad?
Did you know that on the set he stuck in character the whole time and kept the British accent through everything. And then as soon as they like just talking, hanging out, doing anything, and as soon as they wrapped, he finally started speaking like himself again. And like half of the people there were amazed because apparently they'd never looked him up before or done anything with him before and didn't realize that he wasn't British.
And I'm sure they approached him with new zeal and enthusiasm.
I'm just like, did you not see The Exorcist 3, one of the best movies ever made? Although they fucked it up a lot. But
is the angel of death.
yeah. Death. Oh God, that was. Did you know that? Okay,
Listen,
I
her obsession is so hardcore for Brad Dourif that she keeps trying to convince me to rent a panel van and go to a con that he's going to be at and kidnap him and just bring him to her. She has like a multi-stage plan. I think she actually has blueprints drawn up that she just hasn't shown me yet. Like, I think she's gone that far.
I made him in some.
Anyway.
They're going to be like Kevin Smith style blueprints for Mallrats. So I in my brain that's how these blueprints are going to look when she shows them to me one day.
Jodie Foster is going to show up at her house looking for her.
And then Liam Neeson is going to call and tell her about his very specific set of skills.
The other thing real quick about Exorcist 3. Did you know that Samuel L. Jackson was in that same scene as Patrick Ewing, but they voice-overed him. It was one of the first roles that Samuel L. Jackson had, and he was the one who was talking on the radio, like, coming into Earth, they don't listen to anybody or whatever. But they cast him, and then they used one of the most famous voices now in Hollywood. I will not call it by name. Echo Dot used to use his voice to speak with me, and they covered up his voice.
Well, he wasn't at that level at that point. Oh, we lost Friday.
Oh, we lost.
Probably an internet. Friday. Yep. A lot of storms there in Texas right now. She's lost power in like a number of times in the last week or so.
I hope she gets back.
Going back to questions, so here we'll have Powell, who is part of our network. The trailer with the clock gave away nothing. That was a shocking moment to me. By the way, I was listening to this podcast in the shower, and all I heard was the ticking. Love it. Raz is cheating. What's your favorite animal, and why is it turtles? I like turtles.
Well, it's definitely not turtles.
No, I can tell you what Patrick's favorite animal is.
Mm-hmm. I'm really hoping someone films a documentary this year because Martha's Vineyard's like 2 hours away, and next year's the 50th anniversary, and I would love to work on that.
We're going to need a bigger show.
I have a job, like, you can see, hold on, I'm always bad at this. This hand right there.
I was looking at that.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a little thing right there. Yeah, so people can see it now. There we go. If you look right next to it, there's which way am I pointing? Yeah, right next to it, there's another little like movie frame, and there's like all my Jaws stuff is like right on this, including screen used quint blood in a little vial. Probably my most random Jaws thing.
We actually cosplay as a couple of Jaws players sometimes. He's the shark, and I dress as Quint, and
first time we did that, people were like, oh, where's Ashes? And she's like, here I am. Like, sounded like Mr. Krabs.
Have you ever gotten to watch Jaws in a floating drive-in the lake?
Not yet.
Not yet, no. But that's a goal right there. Yeah,
I've got to do it twice now, and it is the coolest fucking thing I think I've ever experienced. Like, watching a movie on a lake is really cool, but watching it was that and Lake Placid is the duo they usually bring together to do it, and like just watching them both in of a lake is just fucking it's wild, man.
I had a friend who saw The Thing for the first time on a boat off the coast of Antarctica.
Okay, that's bucket list now. That's my favorite movies of all time.
That's a little. But I have worked on Nantucket. I haven't worked on Martha's Vineyard yet. I did find out a couple years ago because I assumed I'd never been to Martha's Vineyard, but my mom was pregnant with me on Martha's Vineyard, so I have been. But we did also, not to throw this off, but this is the I'm so bad at this. Best Visual Media Dorkening Jaws special where we interviewed Jeffrey Voorhees, who played Alex Kittner. So we won an award for that.
That is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, he said it's kind of funny. He said he gets requests to sign two things: Jaws memorabilia and Friday the 13th memorabilia, because his last name is Voorhees.
Yeah.
But he did tell a really great story about why the shark didn't work, and it's because all the kids would go into the warehouse where they kept the mechanical sharks and use them as a playground and rip parts off of them. And so the whole time, whenever the sharks weren't, for the longest time it was, oh yeah, salt water got in the hydraulics, and that was a thing till he was at a convention and he's like, no, we absolutely ruined those things and didn't tell anybody until now, long after the statute of limitations has passed.
Right. That is wild, man.
Didn't they have the original shark, they lost it and it was found sometime in the last decade or something like that?
It's been restored by Greg Nicotero.
Yeah.
Yep.
He restored the original. It looks way better than it did back then.
Mm-hmm.
But he was saying the scene where he gets killed, they had to film it 3 or 4 times, and it took 6 or 7 hours because he would get dragged under, and there was a scuba man underneath, but he'd kick his legs up or his arm up or something. It's no, you're supposed to be dragged down, and he would do it wrong, so they'd have to reset, let all the blood dissipate, wait for hours, and it was cold, but he got to be in a tent because he was a featured actor with lines, and he's like, yeah,
you're not drowning, right?
And then they didn't even use it because it was too violent.
Wow.
That was the one, if you've ever seen the deleted scene or the picture where it's blood just shooting up because they had a 55-gallon drum just explode underneath, and it's that's so much. He doesn't have that much blood. That's so much. That's too much blood.
Cradle of filth level there, man.
Yeah. It's war level, man.
Anyways, if he had that much blood inside him.
Ashes, what is your favorite animal?
You have to go with a narwhal.
Mm-hmm. You do say
I do love narwhals. Yeah. I was two things, right? I was weird unicorn girl and weird dolphin girl growing up. So they just kind of melded together, and now I'm weird narwhal girl.
We did get some great pictures of you with the baby beluga at Mystic Seaport.
That baby beluga was definitely voguing out.
Very photogenic.
Posing for the camera, yes.
Now, to explain the question, I randomly say I like turtles all the time. I don't really like turtles. I don't dislike turtles. But what I like is the old meme of that kid with the zombie makeup on. I like turtles. And I started seeing it so much that now people I work with at the haunt, they all thought I love turtles, and I keep getting gifts, turtle-based gifts constantly, and I have to explain to them and show them this because none of them are old enough to remember this video. So I keep bringing up listen, I appreciate your gift, I love you too, but I really just like the kid that says he likes turtles. So this year, I'm
turtles.
I'm going to dress up as the kid officially this Halloween as the kid, grown up. I'm going to be in the cheesy zombie makeup with a little turtle on my cheek, and I'm just going to all day long for our community event where we're handing out candy. I'm just gonna be I like turtles. Just all day.
Have a word balloon attached to you somewhere that says it. That'd work.
I said this during meetings, if people start getting tense, and I just stand up in my chair at the hall and be I like turtles, and I leave the room. Then everybody's just what just happened? It's perfect. I think I sold a whole. Yep, I sold a whole set of books at a convention because the guy was walking by, just kind of glancing around. I was like, "Hey, man, I just need you to know, I like turtles." Then he came over to my booth and talked to me for 10 minutes and bought a whole set of books. I was like,
there you go.
It works in all environments, man.
Score.
The next question, somebody else is cheating, we won't name them. Who or what inspired your favorite film you have made so far?
Do you want to go first?
Well, seeing as I only have one film under my belt right now, what actually, so I tend to write what I know. And the inspiration for my first film is definitely that. And the inspiration for my second film is definitely that too, which is officially in pre-production as we speak. But so the whole premise was it stemmed from two things. Us having a conversation about, how you really need to trust the person that you're sleeping next to, because that's when you're at your most vulnerable. And you could literally just be murdered in your sleep. And because you're at that point, you're so defenseless that, like, what are you going to do? And, I don't know if any of you have had a partner who you slept next to who had a very bad, very loud snoring problem. There have been plenty of nights where he has woken up and he's like, "Oh, how'd you sleep?" And it's like, you're lucky I love you, because I would have murdered you in your sleep last night because you were snoring so goddamn loud. So that's kind of where the idea stemmed from. And then it just kind of took off from there. Like, what if she was so tired?
And the dialogue.
And the dialogue. So there's dialogue in the initial scene that kind of sets up a little bit of what's about to happen. It's actually dialogue that we had a legit conversation that we had about 2 weeks or so before I sat down to write the script. I'm like, okay, I need a conversation between the two of them to kind of show that, they like each other, but she's a little over him at this point. And yeah, so I use that conversation as kind of like the intro to their relationship, and kind of segued into, the problem that was, sets up the rest of the film. So
this is a movie for me, man. My wife snores so loud you can hear her just as loud no matter what room you're in the house. Like, I can go outside and shut our giant door and stand on the street, I can still hear her.
It's like the Mona Lisa,
dude.
Just follows you everywhere.
Sometimes I will wake her up like, "Honey, I love you. Can you turn over and not face me right now? Because I'm not going to sleep the next 3 hours. I'm reading a book until you stop snoring or turn over so I can fall asleep right now."
Fun fact, she actually woke me up with her snoring during like this editing process. And I took the opportunity to record it for about 3 minutes, and it's used in the film.
I love it.
I do it once, and he feels the need to be like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, once that day. Just once that day.
I love that.
For me, like I said earlier, I like kind of subverting expectations. I remember a few years ago, actually it's probably closer to 10 or 12 years ago, we go to the Cape every year for our anniversary. I remember standing there looking out at low tide while we were watching the sunset, and I was like, what if a sea monster came out right now? She's like, what? I'm like, not to eat us, but to give us presents, like sunken treasure from the sea. And then fast forward to February of 2022, and I'm working on a music video, and like the gist of the video is like these two guys in like white faceless hazmat suits are chasing a guy around, and all he's wearing is like, he's got no shoes on, he's wearing just like a hospital gown, and he's just tearing around this building. And I was like, why are you running from them? What if they just want to like give you presents? And then I had this idea of like, what if there was like a slasher film like that? And I kind of built on that idea, and I don't want to spoil it because it's...
There's also a Simpsons reference in there too.
Oh yeah.
But if he were to tell you, it would kind of give it away. So.
But I will say it's from the Frank Grimes episode.
Okay.
Homer's enemy. So there's that. So everything has a Simpsons reference in it. It just has to. So that was Killing with Kindness. For Cooking for Friends, again, I liked the idea of seeing all these random like internet shows where people do things. I'm like, that would be a great way for like a serial killer to track people down. And like, it's like, oh, and then they could use them. And like, then I'm a big Silence of the Lambs fan. I will say you should, if you get the opportunity, watch the trailer again, because there's a lot of stuff that's kind of hidden in plain sight that you don't really pay attention to. But go back and watch that again and look at some of the surrounding items. Because it was my goal I kept saying I wanted it to be, I don't want it hidden. I'm not going to draw attention to it, but I'm not going to hide it either. So,
Can we show it again real quick?
Yeah.
When you're finished.
A friend of ours did cast us as a couple of background characters, featured background, in her short, The Halloween Party. And she had access to cow brains, and she sent me close to 70 pictures that I was able to kind of slip into that movie, like quick freeze frame, like blink and you'll miss it type things, but that it's there. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, if you want to replay it and just kind of look at everything that's going on, don't necessarily pay attention to the action that's happening. Look at the surroundings.
All right, guys, let's look for some Easter eggs. Okay, the one that caught me the most was noticing the tattoo.
That's actually
that
Carl
was made me go, that's real? What?
Yes. Yeah, she's big into space, and her dog's name is NASA.
Okay.
I was trying to see what the labels were, but I couldn't see them because my computer sucks. My monitor sucks on the big Tupperwares.
Oh no, that's just casserole elbows, cavatappi.
Yeah, that's just pasta. Yeah.
Okay, I was double checking because I was like, I wonder if the labels. I couldn't read what they said. Okay.
No, that's actually a joke that gets set up because we were actually walking through the store one day and we saw casserole elbows. I'm like, that sounds like something Grandma gets after cooking too much. So that joke made it into the, not exactly like that, but that made it into the short. But yeah, you guys were really looking and you didn't notice this stuff.
Yeah.
I need to actually go back and pause it and watch frame by frame. That's the only way I'm going to see it on my monitor.
I would suggest freezing when she's on her phone, the chopping, and inside the pantry, she's gathering the ingredients.
Yeah, I was trying to look in the pantry, but my computer monitor, man.
I was trying to figure out what was in the jar with the light blue liquid. It looked like there were little eyeballs or something floating around in there.
Yeah, that's the last thing.
Okay, so
yes.
Okay, I caught that one then.
Yes.
I was also
Go ahead.
we've watched. I don't know if you guys have seen Moose, the movie. It's okay. It's it's an amazing B horror, but like if you've ever read Chip Zdarsky's Sex Criminals, you'll notice. Oh, okay, that it was just comparative because any possible chance that there's any signage, wordage, or something left to be turned into a joke, it is. There's some weird reference there. Like this has it's beyond bizarre. Like they go into at one point they're in a walk-in cooler for this like restaurant that has like flies falling into the soup and random shit, and like every single box is its own reference. So you have to like pause and write down 30 separate inside jokes that took place within a 10-second frame because they took it that far. So it was super fun. But yeah, now we're going to be like watching it frame by frame and checking out to see every single thing we can see in there. I wanted to jump back real quick to Ashes when you were talking about like the before bed chats and stuff like that, and sleeping with somebody who you're totally vulnerable with, you know, because you don't know. And this is going to sound really weird, but I have those moments, and it's only with specific people, obviously. Well, now I'm sounding even weirder as I go into it, but I have used as pillow talk before. So who's your favorite serial killer? And somebody, one of the like 3 people that I've asked that have turned to me and said, me.
I mean, yeah, you got to put yourself at the top of the list.
And the weird thing was it was when I was doing stand-up comedy, and it was a traveling stand-up comedian who went, you know, like, and it was like totally possible actually, which kind of creeped me out. And because I was doing it to be funny at that point, and he was just like, oh no, it's just me, and just didn't let it go any further. But what I wanted to ask, yeah, I'm stuck in a hotel room now. We're on tour together. Shit. But what I wanted to talk to you, and Ashes, I'm sorry if I didn't do enough homework. I know because I've been published with Patrick that he also writes stories and such, and like writes literature instead of just film. I'm not sure if you do or not. But what have you found is more difficult or more easy to do with writing a story versus portraying it with film?
Do you want to take this one, or you want me to take this one?
So I have I've written in the past. I'm not published at all, but I mean I've dabbled in poetry and short story and what have you. And the whole thing about film, just kind of like as a sidestep, I've been looking for like my thing for a while. Like I've been dabbling in all these different things, trying to figure out, I'm like, you know, maybe trying to find my creative outlet.
Maybe I'm an natural at golf.
Well, no, maybe I'm a painter. I am not.
She's very good. I have several things that she has painted.
No, I'm you know, it's fun, but it's definitely not my thing. You know, I'm like, well, maybe I've tried coloring. I've tried, crafting things with my hands, like knitting and crocheting and all this other stuff. And it's fine.
Taxidermy, scrimshaw.
Yeah, right. So I figured, well, let me try filmmaking, and this is what stuck. Like this is it. So I would say though that the big difference is, when you're writing a story, you have to create the visuals for the reader. You have to describe everything, what they're wearing, the color of the what the person looks like, how they speak, their cadence. You have to give the reader everything.
The smells in the room.
Right. And where, the big difference between that and film, like script writing, is, when you're writing a script, you're really just focused on the dialogue, what's going on between the characters. not necessarily the ambiance of the place quite yet, because that's a layer that can come after. There's multiple layers to filmmaking. It's coming up with the idea and then writing it out. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll write a summary first, just to kind of get everything out from my brain onto a piece of paper, and then elaborate from there. But it's creating a script and then creating a shot list on top of that. So after you've created your script and after you've figured out, what your characters, and again, too, you can have an idea for your characters and you cast a certain person to play a certain character. But when you're casting somebody, you're casting somebody who you trust will bring this character to life in a specific way. So you're kind of where when you're writing, a narrative, you have full control over every single thing that person does, that character does. But in film, as a director, yes, you can give direction, but you don't have that full control. Sometimes you have to kind of give it up and let your actor act, trust the actor, trust the process. So whereas I feel, narrative writing, you have to be, if you're more of a control, if you want control over every single part of the process, you can have that. But in film, you only have control over so much. So it's writing everything down, writing the dialogue, and then creating that shot list. It's how do I take what I see in my head and put it on paper to then make sure that what I see in my head is what is filmed. So I think that's the big, that's the big difference between the two. It's a lot more involved, the filmmaking process. It's not just like, oh, I have an idea, let's grab a camera, let's go. And I mean, that could be part of the process, if that's just your idea, if you have a group of friends, but when money's involved and you have a lot of people, you don't want to waste their time. So maybe that's not the route to go. Maybe you want to be a little bit more organized.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, everything you said is exactly right. One of the examples that we always go to is the book The Martian by Andy Weir, and then the film adaptation, because both of them are exquisitely done. They're telling the same story, but with the book, you kind of have to use more imagination, but you get a lot more of Mark's inner dialogue, the main character, Mark Watney, Matt Damon's character. You get a lot of his inner dialogue, what he's feeling, how he's feeling, because he's expositing it to you. And like, you can imagine like, oh, I have to travel, 200 kilometers or, whatever. And this is what my spacesuit looks like. And this is what my wound looks like, the precipitating event that sets everything off. But with Ridley Scott's film, able to see, immense landscape, and you're able to see the passage of time, and you're able to see all this stuff. You don't need so much his inner monologue because you're watching him do the things that he's doing. Right. I also think that when it comes to telling a story in a book, like just writing a short story or whatever, and writing a short film, the biggest difference is the limitations that you have. Like, you can be as imaginative and creative as you want to be, but you have to also understand the practicality of what you're looking to shoot. Like, I had some great ideas. Like, okay, this is what I want to do. How can I do this practically? How can I make this?
Right. You can create entire worlds, on paper, but on film, do you have the budget for that? So maybe you're not doing, something as elaborate as you would like.
Yeah. Like, you have to kind of, adapt and improvise. Like, when I originally had the concept for, what the killer was going to be doing in the opening shot, I was like, okay, this is what he's going to be doing. This is what he's going to have. And then it's like, how do I make that happen? Well, luckily for me, where we shot in my mom's backyard, which is up by the airport in Worcester, and is not, the way we framed it makes it seem like it's deep in the woods, but like there's a scene where, you saw it in the trailer where Alyssa comes up out of the woods. Like, 20 feet to her right is a pool. Like, you know, there's a fence there and there's someone's pool. Like, it's not deep in the woods, you know, like we framed it really well, but you know, you see this shed that's in there and Killian goes into the shed and all of the implements that he carries throughout the film. I was like, oh, I can just use this, and this this is already in the shed. I don't have to spend money on these props. I had a specific vision, but let me switch it around because this is going to be a lot easier, you know, and it still fits the overall aesthetic. You know, with Cooking for Friends, we had a little bit more of a budget and we did a little bit more for it. You know, we had a bigger crew and we had a different location. Like where we shot that, Louisa, the main actress, that's her kitchen. That's where she lives, her house. So it was super easy. And it was only one static shot, basically. We were just filming her doing her thing. That was a lot easier to tell that story. Because I think when I try to make my films, and I know you're the same way, we try to tell the story first thinking, how much is this going to cost? How can I tell this story in a way that is not going to cost me thousands of dollars? And
not to say that we don't have ideas that will cost us.
Oh no, I have a couple of pitches out trying to get, you know, between $10,000 and $20,000 for a couple of, like, you know, 5 to 10 minute shorts, because they're a little bit more involved.
One is a proof of concept
for a
feature film.
The other is just a short film that is going to be absolute, like this one will be pure horror. Like there's no comedy in it. Like it's not funny, it's not happy, it's savage and brutal. But I can also do it like if I have to for a couple $100, you know, but I could do it way better for like 10 grand. And like, that's one of the things we have noticed when we're seeing these films and like all these award nominations come out and it's like, these are the films we're up against. And it's like, oh, our budget was $25,000. Our budget was, you know, we spent $7,000 on editing, and, you know, this one shot with the CGI took 6 months, or like this one shot vehicle chase took, you know, 3 weeks and, you know, cost $12,000 because we had to get this and we do that and get the police. And it's like, I shot this in my mom's yard and we spent $100 on snacks. Like, but it's not so much the money, but like, there are things I could do. Like I could do better editing if I had the full suite of DaVinci Resolve. I could do better that, and that's the thing I think people don't really realize about like the stuff we put out. They're like, wow, that's so great, that's so cool. Like, you know, we've worked on a couple of films where like there's a huge budget, and we've worked on some other things where it's like, you know, when it's us, it's like we shot this in our bedroom and we did everything.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, like, you know, you don't see this in the trailer, but like I said, there's a lot of gore in Sweet Dreams, and there's a scene where there's a lot of special effects, and it's all practical. I did it all myself, you know, styrofoam head carved out, painted. I made my own blood, made guts, made this, made that, you know, and it looked great. You know, I've gotten a lot of compliments, you know, on that, you know. And it's something that, you know, I had more of a budget, I could have done something cooler. But at the same time, like, I think there's something to be said about a shoestring budget, you know, and just, you know, hot glue and gumption can get you really far.
Oh, yeah.
Long story short, like, when you're just writing, like, I've been writing a story for years that's, you know, this vast, like, you know, futuristic vehicles and landscapes and like all kinds of crazy shit. And like when it comes to like, you know, my films, it's like I'm gonna shoot it at my mom's house.
Yeah, but I also think it's important to start small. I mean, start small, and it's a learning process. So the more that you learn, the more you can do with that,
Yeah.
and what we create a year from now, 2 years from now, and so on, is going to be completely different and far more advanced than what we've already put out.
I mean, I'm looking at,
and I think that's to be said about all filmmakers.
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the reaction I'm getting for the trailer for Dick Pic, and people are like, holy shit, that's so funny. And it's like, I have 40 seconds of video from this guy that I put into a trailer. Like, the way I used it, like, it's getting a good reaction. And once people see the final product, I think this is going to be like one of the funniest things that I've made. But it's like, I'm having people send, like, hey, I really want to be in a movie. Okay, send me a picture, send me a video of you reacting to getting a dick pic.
And there's also something to be said about having a really good story, because you can have the biggest budget in the world, and if your story sucks, your film, as could be visually stunning, your film is still going to suck. Like you have, the story has to be there.
Yeah, I did a feature for $500. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
We did a whole feature for $500. It's about an hour and 21 minutes, and a lot of us is because we'd all worked in haunts, we'd all worked in the film industry for so long, we knew how to do all the jobs ourselves, so we didn't have to hire anything out, and we just made it a fun project for everyone. We took people that had never acted before, just a network of different filmmakers and people like what you guys are discussing. I've done sets that were like $60,000-$70,000 sets, and they were nightmares. Everyone's so tense. You had to report to everybody about every single penny of your budget, this or that. It was absolute nightmares. And we decided we didn't want to work for those people anymore. Like all these big productions like that, because we didn't enjoy it. It was work and not what we loved. So we were like, let's form our own company, make this movie for $500. And it's still the best experience I've ever had on a set to this day.
Same thing. I mean, I've been on, big, studio sets. I've worked for a ton of different things. I've had jobs where it's like, yeah, we had a bunch of overtime and meal penalties, and it was $40,000 for one day, and it's like,
holy shit,
that's insane. Like, jeez, like, oh, and that's just like one day, like, and that's what they spent, and it's crazy situation. But then I've worked on big huge sets that are also amazing, and I've worked on tiny sets that were awful, and I've worked on tiny sets that were amazing. I mean, when we did Celophaeus, I got covered with ants for one scene, not intentionally, but where I had to be, my whole arm was covered with biting ants. But that scene gets one of the biggest reactions in the entire film. And I think it was about 40 minutes that we filmed it, and it's what, a tenth of a second?
Oh, I hate ants.
But it was a lot of, like, I had fun. I was enjoying it. Like, I was being eaten by ants, but I was enjoying myself because there was 4 of us there. It was the actor, myself, and then the director and the DP. That was it. 4 of us in the woods. I was the only one getting eaten by ants, though.
Well, and that was something I wanted to bring up. My nephew has done, like, he finished his high schooling at a special arts school, and he was able to go, like, their final as a group of people together was to film just a short film. And like, he did the writing and he did the camera work for it, and they filmed it at his grandparents, they aren't related to me, but they're his grandparents' farm. And you were saying, like, where you had the pool right there. So he had, just certain areas of, like, the woods type thing going on. But when you're trying to get, like, and I also dated a photographer for a while, when you're trying to get a sunset shot, you get one take for the day, because you only have, like, that 5 to 10 minute period where the lighting is going to be right. And then you have to give up and do it another day. And that takes people's time and so much stuff. So when you're filming those things and you have to get them right the first or maybe second time, if you even get a chance, it's so hard to do that. And I greatly respect that you were able to get everything done. with Killing with Kindness, because it's just rough to get all the filming things correct. And I don't think a lot of people think of that, like, oh, we're having bad weather, so there goes our whole week, and we don't know when we can get these people back again.
Well, when I was on the holdovers, the first week we had a snow and ice storm, so they canceled filming for 2 days, because it's like, it's tough enough to park in Boston. It's a lot harder when you have to get all these big trucks onto these small roads, and they're covered with snow and ice. So they took 2 days off the first week. It's also one of the things that I learned while being on a set, and to me it was like the wildest thing, and it's not something I think a lot of people think about. Whenever you're filming a conversation with two people that are looking at each other, they will film all of it in one direction, and they'll do it close up, mid, wide, and they'll do it over and over and over and over and over. Because then to get the other side of that, you have to completely, they call it flipping the world. So you have to take all the lights, everything that's there, all the camera equipment, switch it around. A lot of times you have to rearrange the room so you can get the camera stuff in there, but you got to make sure that everything is consistent. The lighting is consistent. We did a small film out in well, not small, but independent film out in Provincetown a couple years ago. I was working on it, and they liked me a lot, and she came up to visit me the weekend of her birthday, and I was like, hey, can she come down to set and see what things are? And the director's like, oh, we're doing that big restaurant scene. Yeah, we'll put her in. So she ended up getting a paid background role on her birthday.
That's epic.
We got to work together on her birthday. And for the one scene, so they had to set up a bunch of track. So it's literally like a little train track for the camera to pan past the dining room. And you put down these 2-inch wide pipes for the track, and then you have to put these little wedges in and make sure that they're all level, get the lighting and everything, make sure people aren't walking by, film that, and then you have to take all of that down, bring it inside, go over one shoulder, take all that down, flip it around, go to the other side, film. And that took 6 hours? And you have to be, like you're saying, you have to be cognizant of what the light is. We're doing something in a couple of weeks where we're filming on a beach, but we're shooting day for night. So we're going to color correct it and make it look like it's nighttime. But the only time to do that, you have from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. because that's the only time you can, when the sun is overhead, and you can really match that lighting. So it's a challenge, and you have to get everything done really quickly. And, it's not something people think about a lot.
Definitely. I know there's a lot of famous interviews with Rob Zombie about when he was working on House with 1,000 Corpses, and he talks about all the different distributors he went to, the fact that they ran out of funding at one point in time. They had famous actors playing certain characters that when they lost distribution to a certain studio, backed out, and you would have to refilm things. And one of the things he talks about is the last major refilm they did, they had exactly 30 days to finish the movie for the last time, for the final distributor that was finally interested, and it rained the whole fucking time. So he didn't just have to refilm a few things, he had to end up refilming more than he expected to because of the rain. And we talked about, you guys were talking about having to change a lot of things on the fly like that. And again, we were talking about how that's stuff that people don't really think about how that will affect you. And every little thing, and also going back to that same conversation, I've been on set before where things were written a certain way and an actor didn't show up, but we had 2 days to finish that scene. So we would sit down, and me and a cast and crew member me and one of the actors would talk. Okay, you're here, they're not here, and you didn't even need to be here today. Guess what? You're getting a new scene. And we would literally write a scene on the spot and go film it. And that was the new scene in the movie because it's fast paced. You got to do what you have to do in order to get shit done, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we had a conversation with Thomas Waits from The Warriors, who he played Windows in The Thing. He got fired from The Warriors halfway through filming. So there's a scene where he, they all break up at the train station, and he runs off with Mercy, and the guy that runs off with her is not Thomas Waits. It's like a crew member who just happened to be like the same build, have the same style hair, and that's why he gets beat up by the cop and thrown in front of a train and killed off. Like, there was supposed to be a whole romantic subplot, but he ended up getting fired. He talked about this on our podcast, so we're not like telling tales out of school. He got too big for his britches, and they were like, "We don't need you." And then a couple of years later, he was in the thing. So, but yeah, it's one of those situations. Like, shit, we have to change this entire movie now because we just lost someone who's in a main plot of the film. So, like, we gave it to Swan.
Oh, I was just gonna say though, with Killing with Kindness. So our original filming date, it rained.
Yep.
And because it's all outside, it's one of those. The forecast said rain. It was raining that morning. It's like, well, you got to make a call. What are you going to do?
I called it the day before.
Yeah,
I called it the day before, and it did rain for most of the day. So I was like, okay, good, because I was going to be pissed if it didn't rain and it was like nice and sunny.
Right.
It didn't rain. The only issue was one of the props we got was a cake from that was a clearance Father's Day cake. We were supposed to shoot June 29th, and we got it on June 24th or 25th, like whatever that Sunday, that Father's Day was. So we had to we actually bought two of them because we're like, we don't want to just have one. What happened if something gets screwed up? We got to have two. So we had to find room for two cakes in our freezer for almost 3 weeks.
Oh, damn. We had to buy 10 different copies of the murder weapon for that $500 budget. And that was like $100 of our budget was 10 different copies of this amazing knife, because with different kill shots, you can only show so much of the knife. And to do that, you've got to cut sections down. And that's another one of those weird things that I had done slasher movies before, but not the way we did this one. So it was a new experience that I got to have, knowing that we needed all these copies of this to cut it down. We had a scene where the knife goes in the back of someone's skull and the tip of the blade comes out of their mouth. We're going to do this. So we cut it down to like only that much of the end showed right to the hilt. And then we got an old football mouth guard, fit it to her mouth, and attached the blade portion right there. Like right there. I just did some creative editing, and it literally looks like it goes in and out. It was the weirdest thing to have to think about doing, though.
Yeah, but like you made it work. Like you were creative with it. Like,
I was gonna say that's probably my favorite part of independent filmmaking. Is
you do all the props and you do like the creative kills. Like with ours, the scene that happens in Killing with Kindness, our actress hadn't shown up yet. So like we're filming stuff from her perspective, and she hadn't gotten there yet. So like we filmed all of Mark's scenes, pretty much all of Mark's scenes first. And then we filmed Alyssa when she got there. Like she got there right as we were filming that end scene, but it was wild.
I was gonna say, like, I love the, let me MacGyver something together on a shoestring budget, to make this work. And I find that a lot of times those are the practical effects that work best.
They are. And they have the best stories too. Like
all films.
I really wanted to disembowel a girl for the same movie and then strangle her friend to death with the intestines. So when we were building the intestines, we had to figure out a way to do this. So we took an empty Kleenex box that was on set, and we stuffed it in the front of her costume, and we filled all this tissue box up with intestines. But because I had to strangle someone with them, we had to make the intestines in a new way to give them the durability they really needed to still stretch and look like intestines, but not come apart during the strangulation. That was a weird one. Do you have like a weird, like one of your favorite like creative kills that you had to like go that extra mile for?
We without giving anything away.
Yeah, don't give anything away.
We used the same prop 3 times. But a lot of times what we do is we don't show the actual kill shot.
Yeah,
we show the aftermath.
So like with Sweet Dreams, you know, it was trying to, I mean, it was filmed in our bedroom. You know, it's not that kind of film, but it was filmed in our bedroom. You know, it was how can we film this? How can we angle this where, you know, I mean, we knew we were going to make a mess, but I didn't want to get blood everywhere. I didn't want to have to be, you know, cleaning my entire bedroom, you know? So it's like, how can we make this really effective without getting fake blood all over the place, you know? When it's camera angle and it's cuts, you know, and it's it's you know, a well-timed reveal too. You know, like there's something to be said about build up and then a reveal, you know. I mean, you can show blood splatter on a wall, you know, and then show a big reveal. And then, you know, that can be versus trying to, you know, show the entire like the process leading up to. I'm trying not to give things away.
Right.
Here.
We show the aftermath.
Right. You know,
than...
you know, then the act itself, you know, it's like, well, we can just show this a couple of times. You'll get the gist. Right. You know, we don't want to beat a dead horse, so to speak. But yeah, so it was very and to be completely honest, you know, it's like I knew what I had wanted to do, like but at the same time, it's like, how do I do this? Like, if I didn't have any
the horse was judging you.
Yes.
I do think that's one of, I am proud of that reveal shot. I thought that came out really good.
But it's a matter of, you know, how do I do this to be the most effective while not creating a huge mess and staying within the confines of, you know, the materials that we have.
I think some of the greatest kills I've ever seen were ones I didn't actually see on camera. I heard them with the sound effects in the background, but it was, you know, or a reveal shot. Like some of the most powerful ones are that way because they let you imagine more of what was going on. And sometimes me imagining what was happening is way worse than what someone could have actually shown.
And that's just it, you know, sometimes not seeing but hearing. When you hear
devastating.
The bones cracking, when you hear the blood and the squishing of the guts,
we
and
do
everything,
some amazing
like,
sound design.
Like that is that to me is more terrifying than actually seeing it, because as a horror fan myself, the shit that I can imagine is way worse than anything you could show me on screen.
And
meanwhile, I'm back there with kitchen knives and a grapefruit, just sawing into it for my sound effects.
The credits where we have stuff in the credits, that sound design and not showing stuff, that gets the biggest reaction.
Yes.
Or I should say the most consistent reaction.
Yes.
You guys have me so pumped up to watch these things. Like I am like literally like so pumped up right now.
I know we should just.
I still can't wait.
I will send them into the group.
Oh, I love you so much. You guys are amazing, like so amazing.
So we're just right now talking about Foley effects. Do you just grab them off the internet, or do you work on making some of your own? Because, like, I mean, Hitchcock with Psycho, it was a cassava melon. You know, he how many different things can we stab until it sounds exactly like stabbing a person? Okay, it's a cassava melon.
It depends on what we have for time constraints. But there was again this scene at this post credits scene or during credits sound and everything that we did practically. I did add a little bit underneath, like there's a couple of times where, like, you know, and it's hard to tell, but like in one scene where I'm snoring, I add a truck idling underneath of it. But like, I don't think anyone has picked that up. I mean, I hear it every time.
Well, right, but that's because, you know, we know it's there. It's specific. It's supposed to kind of, you know, it's from her perspective, so it's supposed to drive the point home that, you know, So like he's snoring naturally, just the normal snoring sound, and then it kind of gets elevated every time. So it's like a truck backing up and all of these other sounds like a jackhammer and everything, So, it's just to kind of elevate it a little bit. And, because I there are times when, he's snoring and I'm like, you sound like a chainsaw.
Like we definitely,
so it was kind of playing into that a little bit.
That.
Some of the things I will do though is I will pile sounds on top of each other. I mean, like so in Killing with Kindness, there's a because you have to have sounds for things, otherwise it's off. Like he cuts a cake, but it's the sound of an apple being sliced.
Okay.
Also, can I say?
Yeah, I already.
Yeah. So there's no dialogue in Killing with Kindness. So like, it's so important to have those sound effects there.
There's like ambient
music
birds
and stuff,
going the whole time.
Right. It's so important to have that to really kind of set the mood and kind of give depth to what you're doing, because you don't have that dialogue there.
Ta-da. You'll understand what that means shortly, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll get you.
But
you'll learn it.
But we do want to get to the point. So I mean, we do a little bit of Foley, and we use a lot of like sound effects from the internet, free sites and stuff like that. But we do want to at some point get away with just doing like Foley for our stuff and creating those sounds, because I think that is an art form in and of itself. And it's just it's so cool to sit there and be like, how can I make this sound like this? It's like, oh, let's grab a watermelon and then just start ripping it out, and maybe that'll sound like guts, stuff like that. So
I use freesound.org sometimes because you can request certain things. I did not know that I needed Venetian Carnival music from 1986 until I heard that file, and I'm like, what?
We use Envato Elements.
That's a good one too. That's a really good one.
It's excellent, and I have tons of yeah. The more you know, I have a ton of libraries built up, just because it's like, oh man, this is great.
Well, I mean, and sometimes we'll just go through and be like, I have nothing to do right now. Let me just go through Envato and see if I find anything that I like, that I just want to kind of,
I do that so much.
Bookmark for later, just
download it and save it. Yeah.
Yep, I've got like libraries of sound, stock footage. Some I've done myself of both. Some other people did, and they said I could use it for this or that. I got a buddy that does drones, and he just randomly gets stock footage from me with his drone, like just random shit. I don't know what I'm going to use most of it for, but
we actually were at the beach last week because we were shooting on the Cape. We were helping somebody out, so we went down there Sunday, and we went to the beach. We drank a bottle of wine, and we took just B-roll of the beach at sunset.
I love B-roll. I have so much B-roll of everything in life.
Know what you're going to need,
You
so
don't.
It's like better have it and not need it versus
I've been on sets for like, how are we going to do this B-roll? We need this, and I'm like, oh, I did that 5 years ago. I think I saw the file. What? That's a weirdly specific thing.
We lived.
I liked it at the time.
Down the road from an Indian burial ground. Like there's literally a sign that says Indian burying ground. We live 3 minutes down the road from an old cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 minutes from a newer cemetery that's much larger. So we're going to go take B-roll of all of those cemeteries, because why wouldn't we?
And it's a nice, fun day to relax and do something as a couple, too. Like, let's go and get B-roll today. Let's just chill out and in the environment. Like, it's awesome.
Do you know who would love to get... I'm sorry. Do you know who would love to get some of the B-rolls of your footage of cemeteries?
Yeah, Friday over here. She loves cemeteries footage and pictures.
Well, I mean, I see the background, so
she celebrates.
I literally have a show that is called Corpse Garden Chronicles, and we talk about anything from death and grieving to natural disasters and cemeteries.
I mean,
I love that.
Again,
I'm gonna check that out.
We've got all this stuff right near us. So, because we live in New England, we have these old cemeteries.
Mm-hmm.
That killed me when I went to Terrificon last year. I booked my hotel and I spoke with Leo, and he's like, "Oh, you're staying at that one? It's haunted, you know." And the hotel that I stayed at was built on a cemetery where they had partially removed it, but they didn't remove all of it. And there's like, if you looked out our window, there was the rest of the cemetery there, but part of it had never actually been completely excavated before they did it. And I'm like, oh, really? And I'm like looking up haunted hotels, cemeteries, Connecticut, like Norwich. I'm like, Leo,
I gave her like 10 links.
every
Like she told me
single
to
hotel.
I put every link.
Yeah, but I'm just like, everything is haunted, Leo. All of Connecticut is haunted.
Mm-hmm.
Connecticut has
there's no place I could have stayed. As what?
Gunjiwamp.
What is Gunjiwamp? I am not familiar with this term.
Gunjiwamp?
It's I learned about it on Ancient Aliens, actually. It's like a druid sacrifice area.
Oh, okay.
It's just outside of Hartford.
I
do want to get down there, get some B-roll from there.
Oh, yeah. Send me that. I would love to see that. That's awesome. I was unaware of this in Connecticut. I think druids, and I think I don't think of druids ever being in America for some reason.
There's according to them, there's some potential that the Ark of the Covenant was brought here at one point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and there's the double circle stones in the middle. It's a really, it's got a lot of weird history too. And there's been like partial films that have been done there. Like look up that history of that place. I'll send you some links. You'll absolutely be in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just like the name.
We'll have to drag you on one of his Legends by Night. It's a kind of an art bellish type of show that we cover different topics on. But we have kept you guys now for over 2 hours, and I still have questions if you are willing to spend time.
I don't have to be anywhere till quarter. I don't have to be anywhere. I'm actually going to be just outside Salem filming tomorrow, but not till late afternoon. So I'm good. Okay,
so beyond the fact that you guys work together in your film and you're married, you also do podcasts together, and more than one. And I noticed this room with the backup that you have is more of the kind of horror-y movie style, but you also have the sports style room that you're in. First of all, are they in the same rooms, just different sides of them? And how do you guys go about having each? Is it like your own office for each of them, or do you just kind of work together and share the spaces? Because I have to have my own private space, but
I was gonna say, so this is the Pat Cave.
Yes.
And this is Patrick's man cave. This is where all of his gadgets and gizmos aplenty are stashed. And we just happen to have a lot of varied interests. So we're collectors of a lot of different things. Patrick is he is neurospicy and likes to rearrange his room a lot.
I just rearranged
this
again.
He is always rearranging the studio, so that's why it looks different, because he's always rearranging.
Yeah.
Okay.
So nothing is ever in the same place, really. Like it's always changing. It's always a work in progress. So get things to where. Yeah, can I get back in frame, please? Thank you, sir.
I'm trying.
There we go. He'll have like a certain setup, and then he'll just be like, "Oh, I don't like this anymore," and then change it, and then So I mean, it's changed like every other month. It's something different.
So this yellow thing behind me, right here, there's actually my recliner, because right here is my monitor. So this is my desk. It's an L-shaped desk. I've got my monitor here. My podcasting equipment here, a 32-inch TV is right here, and up behind that is a 42-inch TV that has my PlayStation 5. This TV here is where I watch movies and stuff while I play PlayStation. Sometimes I'll put it up on here. If I'm using the computer, I've got the extra monitor there. So I've got all that stuff. I've got all my clothes and everything over here. And then I've just got racks upon racks. Actually, right behind here is a rack with a bunch of stuff on it. And behind that is a shelf that's built into the wall that has some sports stuff on it. It's got bookshelves. Like I need a house of my own just for my stuff. Like if you look over this shoulder, I've got a bunch of like football helmets and stuff. Like I've got more football helmets and framed jerseys and hockey stuff. Like I've got a ton of signed memorabilia. Like there is a lot going on in this room.
I was saying that's just this room, So a lot of his stuff is in this room, but we have our own stuff, like obviously scattered throughout the house. We have our horror collection.
That's everywhere.
I collect Barbies, so we've got that, a bunch of drag queen stuff. It's just it's all it's just
semi-organized chaos.
It's an amalgamation of a lot of stuff.
I need more shelves, but we don't have enough
It's
room.
definitely the epitome of that. I believe the correct term that they just coined is like the dopamine aesthetic, where you just fill your space with all of the stuff that makes you happy.
This sparks
and it's
joy.
like an organized mess type of thing. Like that's definitely that's our aesthetic, and
it's
that's
not
kind of
hoarding because it's all valuable. Like I've got random, so like this random thing here. So this is a Chicago Bears salute to service mini helmet, but it's not signed by any Chicago Bears. It's actually signed by Greg Maddux, who played for the Chicago Cubs. Why? Because it's a rare thing that other people might not have. Like we're big into Game of Thrones. So here, that's my Stannis Baratheon banner, because I'm a big Stannis fan. She's got her Lannister banner hanging in the bedroom. But yeah, I mean, like, I just collect random mini football helmets because that's one of the things I like.
Oh, yeah. I like your desk setup. It's very similar to mine, right down to the 2 monitors plus the extra TV for the PlayStation. And I've got an L-shaped desk with my podcasting gear on this side of it.
Yeah, that's actually on a little filing cabinet that was a prop for a medical commercial that I filmed. And they're like, "Oh, we don't need this," and I was like, "It'll fit in my car. I'll take it home. I need to cram
that's
stuff."
thing too. When you become a filmmaker, it's no longer hoarding. It's I might need this for a film.
It really is.
So
all of these are
mentioned the filing cabinet, though.
right.
I have a filing cabinet at the end of my L-shaped desk too. I got it from the thrift store for $5.
Yeah, this was free on a set for a pharmaceutical commercial.
It's like, oh, you might need that as a prop. You might need that as, costume. You might need that, accessories or whatever. So like, it's very difficult to part with certain things because you don't want to be in a situation where it's like, oh, I wish I still had that because that would be perfect for the situation.
Oh, and believe me, I have the box of random wires too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh yeah, find mine. I don't remember where most of them go to, and but if I need them, I once kept a 3-foot cardboard bluegill for 8 years because I swore I would use it at some point.
I have one of the things I have in this room. I have a wine fridge. I mean, it's not full of wine at the moment, but like there's various spirits, and I have. I'm a big fan, and I never get to find it, of the Mountain Dew Frostbite because it has sharks on it. And I got some for Christmas. I got a 12-pack. I still have 2 left, but like that's in there. Like I'll put drinks and stuff in there. But that's right next to where my recliner is, and the recliner has another one of those props. It's one of those medical tables that goes up and down.
Yep.
That's right next, and that's where my remotes and stuff are. That's where I put snacks. Like, oh yeah, I
got my mini fridge over here for my Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I mean, I don't drink it that
I'm
often.
stuck in it. I'm stuck totally in a corner with. I have a TV. I have 2 TV trays here that hold my stuff with, and the rest of my room over there, and one that's set up to be like larger, so it can hold a laptop and a couple of things, and the mouse pad on the side. But I'm used to having towers and an L-shaped desk that was made out of 2 nurses' desks in my kitchen. But then a table got moved in there that I haven't been able to get rid of. because it's too big. I don't know how we got it into the apartment, but I can't by myself get it out of the apartment. So I've lost all of my space and all of my things. So I just have this little corner that is me over here.
You just keep adding,
I'm so jealous.
and adding. No, like this should be 2 rooms. The amount of shit I have in here should be 2 rooms at least, or a much larger room. Like if we had a finished basement, like this would be spread out because it's like all my clothes. So like my dresser is in here, her dresser is in her room. Like you can kind of see my dresser over here with some of my clothes hanging up, and that's some of my costume for tomorrow. Like I've also got a million sharks in here. Like I don't know if you can see that, but there is a giant shark up there. Ooh. He is like 5 feet long.
Oh wow.
That's at the end of the Jaws shrine there. And there's some of the art that Ash has made. Those 2 paintings right there.
Nice.
She is very
talented. Those are very lovely. You are.
Yeah, they're great. One of them is like handprints, bloody handprints, and it just says always. So it's like she was turning into a zombie.
Nice.
So like that was her last love note.
I'm like, that's so sweet.
I live in an unfinished cavernous basement. It's all one giant space. The greatest thing about that is my bed is actually only 2 feet away on that side. So when I'm done and exhausted for the night, I can just wheel my chair over this way and just kind of flop into the bed from it and pass out. Then wake up the next morning and just scoot right into that chair and get ready to work.
Yeah, I mean, I have this I actually won this chair. So I have like a nice gaming chair. But I also have like a big comfy recline. I actually napped in it earlier so I could be fresh and ready to go for this.
Yeah.
But
this chair's like so old. You can see it sagging. There's like one of the legs is broken off. But I'm trying to get a new place. So it's one of those things where it's like if you're gonna get a new place, and I live kind of in a ghetto, you don't want to get new furniture until you move into the better place because you don't want to move things over and over. So
we have some of her mom's furniture that's 2 decades old and a couch that my mom bought us about 8 years ago that needs to be replaced. Well, I mean it's fine. It's like it's peeling off.
Well, you have to say the couch is fine. It's definitely time to get a new couch.
Well, it's still comfortable. Like I'll lay on it. Like it's comfortable. We sit on it every day, but it's just aesthetically, it is not pleasing. I want to get some, like my brother's got like the nice theater chairs that like recline
so
buttons and like the Bluetooth and like all the fancy shit in it. Because there was a furniture store when it's going out of business, so he bought the love seat for like $1,000. It's like, oh, what a deal!
That is a deal. Those are usually like at least double that usually.
Yeah.
Those things are nice, man.
I have a closet and overwhelming amount of boxes in my room that are all of my collectibles, like all of my comics. I have a couple things here. I have this. I'm not going to take the time to figure it out but it actually pulls apart and does stuff, you know.
Does it? Oh, that's cool.
And a couple, it's like I have fun with it, but if I can't display them, I don't want to unbox every single thing that I have. Like, for example, my premium edition of my second copy of Steve Van Samson's Black Honey.
What's his name?
Steve Van Samson. I'm
She's
required to say it that way.
to say his name that way. Yeah. Yes.
Horatio Van Sam.
But yeah, his
Banana Van Samson now.
Samson's Black Honey is still sealed in its container because I don't want to, even though it's my second copy of it, I don't want to open it until I have like a room where I can put up some glass cases for a lot of the different collectibles that I have in books. Because I have a lot of signed autograph first editions, and then comics, maybe not so much with the posters and stuff I want to put up. But you don't want to do it in a place where you're going to have to take them down and put them back up again somewhere else. So I just have this. My apartment looks, I will not turn the camera like you guys did because it looks like a place where a cat wants to live. It is all Amazon and Chewy boxes. and other little boxes that are just like, okay, tomorrow I need to take them out, but guess what? By next week, it will once again all be full of Amazon and Chewy boxes.
I have like 3 or 4 boxes filled with probably 20 different autographed jerseys that I just don't have space to put up. I just don't have a place to put them. I've got 3 frames right now with 3 different jerseys in it, but 2 of the frames are 30 by 42 by 36. Like, they're huge. Like, they're so big, and it's like, it's so hard to display them.
Oh yeah. Next time you see Steve, call him Banana Van Simpson. Just call him that and see what he does and let me know. He had an incident with a banana at Warhound.
When we were at Dead of Winter, because we were in full costume, full character, I went up to him and I was like, for the longest time, I thought you were a fish. I thought your name was Van Salmon. And he goes, I have nothing to say to that. I was like, I didn't expect you to.
Oh, dude, he had an incident with a banana right in front of me and Derek when I was recording some stuff at their booth at Horror Hound, and we were laughing so hard about it. And then I went and told Dell about it, and she recorded an actual sound file so I could torment with him like throughout the convention. It was amazing.
That's amazing.
It had some banana fana things going on with it.
It was really
I'm late on the pop-up here, but I believe that was for the helmet. Is that G for gonads?
There's actually a E for Chicago, but it was hard to tell in the lighting.
I'm still waiting. My mother is the biggest fan of Hawaiian men's volleyball, which she has to be on Spectrum cable because they have the contract with that specific team. So like everybody else, you can just watch on ESPN. For
like
men's,
the Rainbows. That's the University of Hawaii.
Yeah, but to get their men's volleyball, you have, at least in Nebraska, you have to be on Spectrum. And she hates Spectrum for every single thing it has, but she will not give it up because it's the only way she can watch her men's volleyball.
I'm also on.
So I'm always on the lookout. If you guys ever come across anything when you're going through stuff, let me know, because if there's like a go here and you can get like Spiro, who got injured this year, unfortunately, which is terrible because he was on his like 6th year and was going pro next year. He has a knee injury now. Or Guillerme, who was allowed to have a beard because he shaved his head and was allowed to have hair somewhere, and they broke rules for him. Just let me know. I know everything
Who's
about
allowed to have hair somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, he was like,
right now.
I know all these weird things about Hawaiian men's volleyball because
I am part of a memorabilia group, and several of the gentlemen are in Hawaii, so I may be able to hook you up with something.
That would be awesome, because it is so hard to find this woman anything for a present, because she's like, I'm in my 70s. My house is full of shit. Don't give me anything else. I don't want to have to like find places to put things, but
the key
little
is to get stuff that you want to eventually get back.
Oh, she's not into any of the shit that I'm into, but my nephew has
give it to her anyways. Like, just that's a little morbid, but
no,
we did with your mom with the Larry Bird poster.
Oh, but she fucking loves that.
We got her mom a Larry Bird framed picture, and
so growing up, my mom's 2 free passes were Patrick Swayze and Larry Bird. One could not be more different than the other, but I mean, there was a shrine to Larry Bird in my house growing up, and you would have thought it was my dad's, but no, it was my mom. She just loved the guy. I think it was the shorts, the really short.
It definitely wasn't the mustache.
It might have been the mustache. I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to know. But anyways, we got her a signed Larry Bird poster.
I mean, it's a nice framed, matted, like.
Yeah, and she just.
It's like 18 by 20.
She's like, he signed this? I said, yes, Mom. She's like, oh, that means he touched this? I said, yes, Mom. She's like, oh my God.
I remember I had a Larry Bird basketball game for Commodore 64 for some reason at one point. like back in the 80s. I forgot about that till now we're talking about Larry Bird.
You used to play Jordan versus Bird on Nintendo.
I just know that my nephew has put in for me to put into my will, like all of the cool shit I get to go through first and like pick and choose which books and comics and stuff that he wants. And then the rest of it gets sold off because nobody else in my family really does a lot of reading or comic book collecting. But he's like, okay, I want to be able to go through all your shit first and then the rest of it can go. So I'm like, okay, I guess you get to do that. I mean, what else am I going to do with it? Nobody else likes it. So somebody has to carry on the legacy. You know,
I would say I'd take you, but let's be realistic. I'm going to die before you, so it would just have to go right back to you.
We're on even terms. Oh, now we just got really morbid. So, Jenny, what are you up to?
What am I up to? I'm enjoying talking to you guys from my closet, my 5 foot by 6 foot area in my second-hand chair. And you guys are talking about your spaces, and I move in here and there's like a whole missing room. Even the realtor is like, wait a second, they said there was 3 rooms, but there's only 2. What's going on? So yeah, I have learned so much from you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, don't, if you have a small space, don't get 1,000 things, because there's too much. Like, I have stuff that if someone was like, oh, I want to buy this thing from you, it's like, I literally don't know how I would get to some of it.
Your best option is to be a collector, but move to Ohio, because you're going to lose everything to a tornado at least 5 times in your lifetime. So then you just get to recollect everything and have the fun of collection, man. It works.
Sounds that fun?
Oh, it's not, but that's what we tell ourselves in Ohio to make ourselves feel better about it.
Okay.
You know, it's the find, it's the discovery that matters, not the owning.
Yes.
When you get the when you get the Holy Grail for the 5th time, that's when
it
you
matters
go out
more.
and
That makes sense.
So, okay, we're pushing over 2.5 hours here. I want to just ask you guys, first of all, what else do you have coming up that you would like to share with us? Any festivals we can tune into, try to get virtual passes to, or if we live in the area, physical passes to?
I don't know if anything's in Nebraska or Ohio at the moment.
I have submitted to a couple of online festivals, but I won't know for a while whether or not. I think one of them is like around Halloween time, so I won't know for a hot minute whether or not I got into that one. But no, so far everything's just been, you know, kind of local in the New England area. I have submitted to a couple of different places outside of the New England area, but again, I don't know when I'll.
We have people that watch from a little bit of everywhere, so we have actually a decent
New
number
England
of
is
New
fine.
England watchers. Yeah.
I'm trying to look. I have my Film Freeway thing pulled up where I
love Film Freeway so much, man.
It is so organized. I love it so much. Like, it makes me so happy to use it.
I have one in like England, but I won't know until, like, submission date was August 15th of last year. My notification date will be September 14th of this year.
But what we can promote is tickets are already on sale for the 2025 edition of the Dead of Winter Horror Festival.
Oh yeah, vendor spaces and tickets are already going.
So that is the horror festival that we are part of the committee that puts that on, as well as the Dead of Winter Entertainment Group, which is something that has recently
like as in the last week and a half.
Yeah. We're part of that, and really what we're trying to do is just so it's ourselves and our friends from It Came From the 508 Productions thus far. What we're trying to do is really create a home for New England horror, independent horror. So, you know, more specifically, a place where, you know, when people think of horror and they think of entertainment, they think of film, their attention always goes to the West Coast. You know, what's Hollywood doing? What are they doing out there? And we
New
kind of
York,
want to be
sure.
like, well, hey, you know, you need to pay some attention over here. Like, look at what we're doing, because the independent circuit is so incredibly talented and creative and has all of these really interesting and new, fresh ideas, the ideas that people are craving. But for some reason, Hollywood just won't bite. So, you know, we are in the process of trying to elevate these filmmakers and create distribution, create theatrical releases, you know, really just try to create a platform for these creators to showcase their stuff.
Nice.
It's amazing.
That is very awesome. And yeah, I've seen you guys tied up with the 508 and with the Dead of Winter stuff. I think we have that in the show notes, depending on where you are, up, down, all around. I don't know.
Where the links?
Where they go. It depends
And
on
that'll
where you're
be
watching us
February
from.
22nd and 23rd of next year.
Yeah, so the horror,
Okay.
we had our first horror
And where is that
festival
located?
at Mechanics Hall in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had our first horror festival this past February. It was just one day, and it was such a success, and we thank everybody for participating in that. You know, it's something that, you know, as a group we've been wanting to do for a while. You know,
We had
really
4.5 hours of
really just
films.
create you know, it's not quite a convention and it's not just a film festival. It's a combination of the two. You know, really showcasing the best and the brightest of what New England has to offer as far as creatives go. So not just film, but, you know, in the vendor space, you have artists and, you know, crafty people and all of these different artisans and stuff, you know. So it's a chance for people to just come see, you know, what New England horror has to offer.
And we price things very reasonably, so people don't have to worry about, like, I'm going to spend all my money.
Well, and that's another thing too. You know, we've been to many conventions. We all have, you know, and many film festivals, and we have horror stories from you know, well, this works and this doesn't work, and I hate it when they do this, and I hate the, you know, the overcrowding and, you know, the lack of spacing and the accessibility and all of this other stuff. So, you know, we all have such knowledge, you know, and experience, you know, going to these types of events. And that's why, you know, we decided that we want to not only put on an event, but put it on with not from a capitalist standpoint, but from the standpoint of, you know, the attendee. You know, how can we make it so that you have the best time possible?
And for every, like, a vendor table for 2 days is $250. Like,
wow.
Yeah, like that's unheard of. You know, a
very much unheard of.
Pass is $90. Like, and that gets you priority seating for the films. That gets you, you know, the swag bag.
The VIPs have not been announced yet, so maybe you don't.
Oh, I thought that was already on the website.
Yeah, it was not announced yet.
Oh.
So maybe you retract that. Redacted.
So for something like that, you're usually looking at like $250 for something like that for a lot of cons that I've seen for that sort of thing. Like that's actually amazing, man.
Yeah, it's somewhere around.
Yeah, so, you know, we're really trying to keep, you know, because again, a lot of people who go to these types of conventions, these types of events are creative types who, you know, it's like, we don't want to pinch, you know, we don't want to rob you. You know what I mean? We want you to be able to spend your money on,
with our vendors.
Right, exactly. You know, so it's like trying to make enough money where we can just keep the event afloat. You know, and not, you know, because sometimes you go to these events and it costs so much just to even get through the door that you don't really have much money to spend elsewhere.
Right. Like you're spending all your money just to get there, and then you can't do anything. You can't buy a snack. You can't have a drink. Well, that's the other thing. We have, you know, multiple bars. We have, we're hoping to have some amazing food people too.
Yeah, so, you know, we had an amazing time this past year, and we're only looking to elevate it even more for next year. So we already have some crazy stuff planned that hasn't been announced yet. We're also in the works on several different things, including a major sponsor, which I still can't wrap my head around the fact that they even want to sponsor. Yeah, you know, the fact that they even want to sponsor us, let alone, you know, the fact that they are. So yeah, so that's the big thing where we're pushing right now. It's just the Dead of Winter Horror Festival and the Dead of Winter Entertainment Group. He's in the process. You're in production on Dick Pick. I'm in pre-production on my next project, which will be filming this fall.
I also have my super secret project.
And you have a super secret project that's so secret I don't even know about it. You know, and then just trying to continue to make the festival circuit with what we have, and you know, support our friends who are other creative types and filmmakers, and really just try to celebrate the community that's here.
That's awesome.
That is very awesome. We're like twins, by the way. We share a brain. It sometimes bounces back and forth. Also, where would you like people to connect with you on Facebook or any other form of social media? What is your preferred way of dealing with people who just want to get to know you, who might not already know you?
So well, you can follow us at Magenta Manor Productions. It's Magenta Manor Productions. Search up, find us on Facebook,
YouTube.
We're at Magenta Manor Productions on Instagram, so you can definitely follow us there. For me personally, I'm Ash's Home in Rahal. If you want to friend me on Facebook, let's be friends. Let's talk. Or you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Miss Von Nightmare. That's MISSVONNITEMARE. And that's really all I have for social media. I don't fuck with the rest of the stuff. I can barely be bothered enough to do the Facebook and the Instagram, and I don't do anything.
And half of that
else.
is just cat videos.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
For me, it's you can also follow us Throwdown Thursday podcast.
Oh yeah, we do that too. Throwdown Thursday podcast. Yes.
Coming up on 8 years on that.
Wow.
But yeah, we for me it's on Facebook I'm PJ Rahal, but everywhere else it's Patrick Rahal. Professionally I go like any of my IMDb stuff is all Patrick instead of PJ. But both work. Dead of Winter Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Follow all those guys because there is some great stuff coming up on those. Like I've seen I was going through your stuff and being like, what do I choose? There are so many different things to like ask about, and you covered them all, which is great. Any future podcasters, by the way, these guys know how to interview themselves. So if you have questions, they know what they're going to be. And as you saw, it was great. We got so much information and so much amazing content from them. You guys are beautiful guests to have, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you so much for having us. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, like people, we haven't. I don't know if we've really been on a podcast to talk about our movie
No,
stuff.
this is our first time actually, aside from our own podcast, talking about what we're doing and stuff like that. Yeah, this is our first invite to actually talk about the film stuff. So thank you so much for having us on. We really appreciate that. Which is why we're a little shaky. It's like, oh gosh, how do I know how to promote myself? Yeah, like podcast stuff. Like, oh yeah, Throwdown Thursday. Here you go. This is what we do. But like the film stuff, we're still a little shaky.
Magenta Manor has only existed since like the end of June last year, so it's not even a year, and we're already on our 4th film.
Dude, that's amazing. Crazy. I hope we made this process like super fun and easy for you guys. And just know that we've got like 12 or 13 different shows of different subjects. So if you like any of them and just want to be like, hey, I'm going to pop on today, just tell us. Yeah. Anytime you guys want to talk about anything ever.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to go through and say our goodbyes. If you guys could stay for just a little bit after the show, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Raz, where do you want people looking for you?
You can find me at raztslasher.com. Also, if you just type in my name, I'm sorry, Dr. Raz T Slasher now, you'll find me on most social medias. But if you contact me through all of those social medias, you're going to talk to the #1 Raz cosplayer in the world, which is Satan Friday down here. She knows all my socials because also, like you, Ashes, I don't social media well. I'm really bad at it, but Friday down here is amazing, and she helps me out with all that stuff. Otherwise, tomorrow morning, look for me at your mom's house. That's about it for me.
As far as I go, and we always let Jenny go last, you can find me at Carrie, Kari Sanders on Facebook. And if you see this, it is me. That's how you find me. You will find my author page. You will find my stuff with the Owlite Network. You will find my stuff with, I'm on splash pages on the Dorkening Network, which Owlite is also a part of. This Tuesday, we will be interviewing Garrett Gunn. So catch up on your Good Boys comics. And we have some interesting stuff that we got sent exclusively to us that is rather cool that we'll be going through. And if you contact me on any other form of social media that is linked there, you will also probably be talking to the #1 Delphine cosplayer, who is our gal Friday. And Friday, how do we get in touch with you?
As you heard, you can find me on their social media. You can find me at Fakehor, at Owlite, and at my pages, Friday with the Library in the Blue Box, and my author page, Jennifer Elliott. Tomorrow we'll be doing Legends by Night, Urban Legends. And please check out our newest anthologies. On Friday, we have Fae Propaganda coming out. And on June 4th, we're having our very first anthology, The Owlite Menagerie, with so many amazing stories. I hope you guys check out both anthologies and come back to us tomorrow.
Definitely. And we want to give one final shout out and an absolute love and word of thanks to Wicked FX. I'm going to pop their website over here in the chat for you guys because I keep forgetting to add that into show notes stuff. But definitely check them out for all your 3D printed needs. They just started doing a line of Fallout Nuka-Colas, which is super amazing. They do a lot in the haunt industry as well. Like, if you go to that page, you're going to see a lot of their haunt stuff. They've got, like, ice cream cones with full, like fangs that are about to eat your face. They've got popcorn buckets that are about to eat you. Like, all of their stuff is absolutely amazing, and it's definitely worth checking out. And they're the ones printing our network trading cards, which I just got a big update on. We're working on packaging now for them, which we didn't even expect. So we're going to have premium editions now also, in addition to the regular editions of the cards, with some really cool 3D printed packs. So we're really excited about that.
And they might be possibly working on something for me that involves a pinhead charcuterie head where you have like little cheese and meat sticks that you can place into where the pins would go on his head.
Oh, dude, these people can do anything. They now have a mobile scanner. So there's something you love, you want to see turn into 3D. They can actually bring their mobile scanner. They can actually scan entire people and make costumes out of them. Like, they can do anything. It is amazing. I think they're up to 25 3D printers of different sizes now.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Fun. They can do all sorts of stuff. Last thing, folks, we have a bunch of different links that you can like and follow us on, and we are working on building up those numbers. So if you just click on the show links and just follow, it costs you nothing. We're working really hard on getting our Twitch channel built up because we do a D&D podcast every Thursday. It alternates between 2 different campaigns. And once we reach 50 people following us, which is free, you guys get to start getting benefits. Like, if you're watching, it builds up your channel points, and you can spend those to do things like, oh, this person is going to get a bonus to their next saving roll. Oh, this person is going to get a little fairy that comes out from Zelda and gives them a kiss and gives them back like 3 hit points so that they don't die or something like that. So if you could come out and do something like that, all you have to do is do a couple clicks and we would love you for it, because we are getting so close on some of these to being able to give you more content so that you can interact with us for it. So I think that's what we've got tonight. And thank you guys so much for coming on with us. I'm so in love with your production. I'm looking forward to getting to see all of the films, and I'm going to be signing up for stuff, and I'm going to get some merch too. So yeah, you have merch, right? Yes. You get it?
Yeah.
We go to merch.
Well, and
there's more
there's more coming through Dead of Winter Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so definitely stay tuned on that. There will be shirts.
Oh yes.
All right. And they will be gorgeous. And this is the color of magenta. As you can see, we have sponsored them throughout the entire thing. We match her hair so well. If you have any wine questions, contact Ashes. And for all of you, thanks for showing up, and good night.